unfortunate. He was having a really good night tonight. Was just putting on a clinic, and then just something little like that, got on the curves a little too much, got on the gas. He had a very quick stop there, got a new wing on that car, and he is back out. Looks like he's still got probably a third. He's
coming out of the pit. Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, he almost caught somebody else. I'm not even sure who that was. That was Buchanan who went by, who almost got caught up in that. And wow, Nicholas Ward suddenly is out of this thing, it looks like, because Bruno Carnero has now gone by him for the race lead. Nicholas Ward down to second place. He bails on turn 3. I think he's calling it. He's going to tow Bruno Carnero, who we didn't think was really even going to be in the picture, at least at the start of the race, for winning this thing, then was suddenly behind Nicholas Ward after a couple of full course yellows, and looking like, all right, well, Nicholas Ward is simply faster, but Bruno Carnero still looking pretty good. He's second place and stayed there for probably 35 laps or so, somewhere in that neighborhood, and since Nicholas Ward's exit has just walked away now with your race lead and looking to be a race win here shortly. 2 laps to go this time by the stripe, and Carnero is off and away to the possibility of a really big win. Down the back stretch out of 6 and down to 7. He has lap car company. Bobby Krug making sure he doesn't feel lonely out there, and I think Krug actually wants to go run an extra lap in case something happens to Buchanan or Chubb. Well, Krug loops it. Loops it in the distance there, but and he's gonna hit the wall again. Bobby Krug not having a great finish to the event. He does actually have Warren Keefe 29 Bruno seconds Carnero back, out of 13 down to 14 for the final time tonight. He's going to exit Detroit Belle Isle as a race winner, wins the Grand Prix at Detroit, presented by Ashwood Wealth Management. And what a great race win here for Bruno Carnero. Spencer Madden to be the next one across the line. Although I think fuel saving mode, he has backed himself right up to
he
match
mastered
up.
the strategy today, as that number 20 machine's going to burn it down in turn 3. Madden comes across the line in second, and Chubb is going to be next in the 3rd position.
Welcome back, race fans, to post-race coverage. You've been watching these guys stage up down the front stretch. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to talk to the top 3 tonight, but we'll be talking to race winner Bruno Carnero and runner-up Spencer Madden. And for that, I'll turn it over first to Trey Shuttlesworth.
So we're going to... All right, and now we have Bruno Carnero in the booth. So, Bruno... first of all, congratulations on a heck of a win out there today at Belle Isle. This track is absolutely grueling for a driver, especially in a car where you have to be so delicate like this. So yeah, talk to us just about starting in the middle of the pack and being able to just be clean and survive.
First of all, just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, I forgot what my push to talk button was, but that was really intense. My qualifying lap was my 2nd lap around this track in the IndyCar, so I was not really expecting much. I just wanted to keep clean, and yeah, it was pretty intense starting in the mid-pack. We avoided some incidents, and obviously avoiding the big pile-up on lap 1 with the car flipping and everything. That was pretty intense. And then just keeping clean. I had a couple spins, but got really lucky that I didn't end up in the wall. Car just ended up pointing in the right way. So it was pretty fun, and just battling through the mid-pack was exciting. Feel really bad for Nicholas. I looked like I was close to a 2nd lap quicker. I don't know if he didn't get tired or something, but I was just catching really quick, and I thought it was going to be a nice battle to the end, but unfortunately he made a little mistake coming out of the pits. So yeah, it was good. We stayed clean, and that's what mattered. So
Yep, it was unfortunate to see for the 97, but you were able to capitalize. Do you feel the street circuit was playing into your advantages, or were you disadvantaged and just looking to go out there and do the best you could?
Honestly, I feel I'm more comfortable at road courses. The walls are really intimidating, as is for anyone. But I just made sure, the IndyCar is usually first gear out of most corners. I was keeping second in some just to avoid wheel spin. So I just I was playing very easy going and stuff and kind of driving 8/10, 9/10 until I was like trying to catch Nick again. So other than that, it just worked to our advantage just by staying clean, honestly. Yeah.
All right, congratulations on your season win here in the first win of the season here. Any sponsors, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, thank you so much. For sure, Rodizio Grill, Brazilian Steakhouse. They're all nationwide as well and starting to open up again after the pandemic, or while the pandemic and everything. But my sponsors since the beginning, obviously family, friends, Ricardo, Ayrton, Austin, everyone, all my friends and stuff. So it was a great win. I'm really excited for the result, and first win here in IORL is awesome. So
All right, thank you for your time, Bruno. Bruno
Thank you, guys.
Pinheiro, your race winner here at Belle Isle Circuit.
Hey Spencer, this is Trey Patton up in the booth. You got a copy.
Yeah.
All right, so you were actually one of my picks for the race today because I
Oh.
knew that you were you were one of my podium picks because I knew that just from what I've seen of you previously and from racing you in the Indy 500 that I figured you'd be able to pull a strategy call out, especially from missing that first lap incident, and then you ended up with the strategy call and everything played out. You actually ended up finishing second. So just talk me through the race and how that worked out for you.
I did not miss the first lap incident. I was the one upside down.
Oh yeah, that's right. I looked at the incident wrong.
My strategy after that was to just don't die, bro. Don't die. That all right?
Yeah, I was looking at the replay there, and I was looking at the wrong car, and I realized that was you upside down. But I figured, now that I'm remembering that, I figured that you were gonna lay low and then wait for strategy to play out, and then obviously, strategy came into play, and then, Scott falling out, then obviously Nick wrecking and everything ended up to where you were able to get a podium finish. So I'm actually glad I made you one of my picks for that, so it didn't make me look as dumb. So we're actually kind of short on time here, so is there anybody you want to thank or say hey to while we're on broadcast?
I gotta thank my crew members for putting up with me wrecking the car 17 times in practice.
All right, well, congratulations on a P2 finish. So hopefully we will see you back in the booth in future races.
As we bring it back, we're gonna keep things condensed here. Bruno Carnero rolling off and finishing first place with the win. Spencer Madden second place. Then it's Matt Chubb, Zach Buchanan, Bobby Crude, Warren Keith, Ernie Ludwig, Nicholas Ward after that amazing run, and then just unfortunately spinning out twice in about a lap's time. Trevor Eggemeyer comes home ninth, and it's Joey Newsel in 10th. A little further back, the rest of your field going to quickly get wrapped up with Scott List Rambler, who looked so fast in practice and qualifying, then Blake Erickson, Dai Staubitz, Alan Elwood, Chris Walker, and Cole Freilich. Those last four drivers never taking the green flag. Hate to be so short with things here, but we are going to have to wrap that up, and that will conclude our coverage tonight of the IORL Grand Prix from Detroit, presented by Ashwood Wealth Management at Belle Isle. Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch tonight. Trey Shuttlesworth and Trey Patton are with me in the booth. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the 9th annual IORL Hire Eric Beaudoin and Michigan 500K, presented by the United Sim Racing Association. We join you tonight from the Legacy Michigan International Speedway for round 10 of 12 in the season. Located in Brooklyn, Michigan, this 2-mile D-shaped oval was first opened in 1968 and was soon acquired by Roger Penske in 1972 before being bought by International Speedway Corporation in 1999. Michigan is a traditional stop for the open wheel Triple Crown series. Although the track last played host to Indy Racing League in 2007. Fittingly enough, the version of Michigan International Speedway being raced on tonight was scanned in 2007, so expect similar action on the track. We last joined the IORL at round 5 from the streets of Belle Isle, won by Bruno Carnero. Tonight, the drivers of the IORL will tackle a bumpy and unforgiving 2-mile oval with a storied history of open wheel racing for 155 laps. And Trey, well, I guess that would apply to both of you, but Shuttlesworth, man, last time these guys were out, we, as mentioned, were at Detroit. It was a great race. The time before that, Indianapolis, again, just, I think, a thrilling event, even though it was all 500 miles and you guys were in that event, so you can speak on that as well, but just... IORL always seems to put on good action. I go back to when we covered the Pocono 500K last summer in their finale for Season 10. We come back now, Season 11, and we're getting ready to wrap things up, the last 3 races of the season, and the IORL continues to put on amazing racing. Tonight should be no different.
Yeah, it's just thoroughly enjoying, you know, whether you be a spectator or we're the broadcasters tonight, or if you're a racer, there's just a lot of fun to be had in the series. It's just the Lara iRacing is a car that tends to be very underappreciated on the iRacing.com service, and I think IORL, takes full advantage of it, and especially the field of drivers we have is absolutely competitive from top to bottom. Yeah, anyone can come out here and win at Michigan tonight. It's not going to be a conventionally easy track to hold the car flat out through the corners by any means, with as bumpy as it is. So Michigan was last scanned in 2012. I believe this was actually scanned in 2009. That's what it's listed as on the iRacing.com service. So it's going to be pretty bumpy, so I don't necessarily expect the pack racing that you might be used to when IndyCar comes to big ovals like Michigan. Of course, the last time they were at a big oval was Fontana in like 2015 or 2016, at least with lots of banking. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun tonight. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, just going off of what you said, you know, you just kind of nailed it. The IndyCar is very underappreciated. Like, just, it's one of the cars that has, it's just the king of downforce. So expect to see that a lot here. And kind of what you said too, this race will be very similar to kind of what you would see at Fontana, because it's a 2-mile track and it's very bumpy. Also expect to see these cars push a lot due to aero. So this will be quite interesting, seeing pack racing, so we might actually see quite a few pile-ups for people not expecting it.
Absolutely. Now, before we get too far into things, these guys finish up their practice laps. Of course, they're going to have their drivers meeting here shortly. I do want to take a look down the point standings coming into, again, race 10 of 12. So you can see right there, the wins are definitely spread throughout the field. A lot more so than, for example, in the IndyCar World Series, the SRCA IndyCar World Series, there we go, that we cover on Thursday nights. In fact, we're going to Auto Club Speedway tomorrow night, kind of, well, I think this is a preview then for the action we'll see there, but definitely a lot more parity here. You see Matt Chubb, Spencer Madden with a couple of wins each, or well, a couple of wins between them. Nate Sifker, Nicholas Ward, Bruno Carnero, even the bottom end of the top 10, they all have wins. Ray Vaughn, though, does still have 2 wins, so he is showing that he is one of the better drivers here, just like in the SRCA, but Scott List-Ramler is currently matching that right now. So Matt Chubb with 144 points does come in the points leader, and I'm going to be honest, Trey, I mean, I think it's his championship to lose. He comes in with, 52 points over Spencer Madden in second place, and it's a lot further back to Ray Vaughn and Scott List-Ramler. He almost has double the points that Ramler does.
I'll have to do a bit of a math check here. It looks like the maximum amount of points you can earn is around 25. The series uses an old school kart points format from the 90s, I believe. I'm not sure on the exact year that the format they used was utilized by, the real life kart series. But yeah, the championship is pretty much locked up. But like you said, the series offers a lot of parity. And you see a lot of guys in here that in the top 10 that aren't even necessarily running the full season, which just shows the level of talent we have. We look at like Ray Vaughn, for example. He comes in 2 wins out of only 5 starts on the season, whereas most of the other guys near the top of the leaderboard in the point standings have raced either 8 or 9 races of the 9 so far, such as Zach Buchanan, Matt Chubb, Spencer Madden. But yeah, there's a lot of talented guys in here. I would have been excited to see Ray Vaughn go for the championship. I think he really would have put up a good fight against guys like Matt Chubb. Little surprised to see Scottless Rambler 4th in the point standings for as strong as he can be, but he's also been very inconsistent for much of the season.
Yeah, just to tackle back onto what you said about Scott, he's one of the guys, just from what I've seen over the years, I consider him, to what people would say, a god in the IndyCar. I mean, the man can just drive the wheels off of it. But as you said, inconsistency. At Indy, he had it going, and then just had some minor mishaps. And then, as we saw the last broadcast at Belle Isle, it just did not go his way. So just those 2 bad races just really killed his points. And just inconsistency just killed his points. Like even like Franklin Ash, no wins, and he's only, 19 points behind Scott there. So I mean, Franklin might be able to pull up 4th in points after today.
Well, I can't wait to see how these guys do. Again, you think back to Indianapolis, Belle Isle, the last couple of races that we covered for this league, and the only 2 that we've covered this season. And the racing's just been fantastic throughout, and I can't wait for the next couple of races. We are covering the back end of the schedule, so races 10, 11, and 12. Definitely an upgrade to be covering almost half the season here for the IORL, as opposed to last season, where we only covered the last race. So certainly really, really glad to be on board with these guys for more races. Definitely one of the more entertaining IndyCar leagues, I think, on the service at least. We'll see how things go tonight. Michigan does tend to kind of, at least from NASCAR standpoints, obviously completely different animals, but it tends to string fields out. I think we're going to see some pack racing at the start of runs, but I think quickly over the course of a run, we're going to see the field spread out. That said, we got a few bills to pay, and while these guys get on the racetrack to start off their qualifying runs, I'm going to turn it over to one Trey Shuttlesworth with the start of our sponsor readouts.
So yeah, we're going to start out with our title sponsor for tonight, and the hire Eric Beaudoin 500K here tonight. 500 kilometers, 155 laps. But yeah, so essentially what we're looking at here with Eric Beaudoin, he's a NASCAR championship winning spotter and mechanic. I believe he's centered out of Canada, but he can also work in the United States. So he's worked with Trans Am, Porsche GT3 Series, Formula 1600, and late model teams throughout the continental United States and Canada. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, he's currently looking for new opportunities in the sport for the future. So you can reach him at his Instagram, at Eric Beaudoin.
All right, so our next sponsor is Ray Vaughn Racing. Ray Vaughn Racing is a Facebook page solely dedicated to the racing adventures of Ray Vaughn, which is ran by his daughter Mila. It features race broadcasts, highlights, and Rick's thoughts, views, personal quotes, and it's fun for the whole family. Also, it's home to the new infamous Ray Vaughn Report that everyone loves.
We're going to wrap up with our presenting sponsor tonight, which is the USRA. United Sim Racers Association was created with the intent to bring the racing back to the drivers. Their Grand Am Series showcases Daytona prototypes, GT4 spec, and TC cars with fixed setups with the intent to have the driver win the race and not the setup win the race. The season kicks off in September with the 2.4 hours of Daytona. To learn more and to sign up, please visit them at UnitedSimRacerAssociation.com.
We've also got Permanent Makeup in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Here at Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe and personalized services. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give them a call today to book a consultation. You can contact Permanent Makeup in Maine at permanentmakeupinmain.com or call/text them at 207-358-8683. Again, that web address is permanentmakeupinmain.com, or you can call or text them at 207-358-8683. If you visit their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, you will see that they do monthly giveaways, and who knows, if you submit your entry, you just might win. Of course, also want to thank Whiplash Media, PitStop TV's new parent organization. Whiplash Media specializes in sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing with things such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Whiplash Media can currently be found on Facebook. So guys, as things wrap up here in qualifying, we were treated to some interesting lap times thrown out, and we still have a little bit of time left. In fact, 1:12 it looks like, but Scottless Rambler currently sitting at the top, and I think we've said that a lot over the course of covering races that Scott runs, be it SRCA, IORL, what have you. But Scottless Rambler currently on pole. He's got about 0.06 of a second back to Cole Freilich, who's second. Marcus Jesdal, I'm going to assume is how we say that, the driver of the 43. He currently sits third, about 8.5 of a second back. And a new second place. It's none other than Ray Vaughn, one of our sponsors tonight.
Not surprised to see the top two. Also, pretty cool to note that PitStop TV's Cole Freilich is currently sitting P3 on the leaderboard right now. He, of course, was the pole sitter in the IORL Indianapolis 500 back in May a little bit ago.
And he won't let us forget it.
Oh no, he was telling us about it earlier, the fact that he wants us to harp on that fact. And, you know, to be fair, he's had a lot of struggles this season. It's been difficult to score points, just, you know, a lot of unfortunate situations for Cole. But he has 3 races here, so he can definitely go out there and definitely knock on the door for a podium tonight, I think.
Yeah, I feel like just tonight is just going to really come down to consistency, which we've seen for Cole and Scott. They've got the speed, but, you know, speed doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, but consistency is what really matters when it comes to the end of the race, is that you have to finish the race to win it. So I'm not really surprised by the top 3. So I think we just got to wait and see what happens.
Well, we actually have one quick thing to do before we walk down the grid. I want to mention some of the throwback paint schemes we have, because Michigan is the throwback race here for the IORL, and I don't have pictures to show of all these, but we'll see them throughout the night. I want to lead off, of course, with Ray Vaughn. He always runs his Rick Mears throwback to the 1982 Indy 500, where he sat on pole, finished second. We've also got another Rick Mears throwback actually on Zach Buchanan's machine, the Rick Mears 1986 Indianapolis 500 car, where he finished third. We've got Corey Rexford out there in the 1999 Robbie Gordon Laguna Seca kart machine, where he finished 19th. Timothy Trowbridge, the first winner on our list, at least the paint schemes. AJ Foyt's 1977 Indianapolis 500 winning paint scheme, and we'll see several others. We'll mention them throughout the night. We've got a whole list. So yeah, we'll go over all of those here shortly. Or we'll see them throughout the night. But we do have a starting grid to roll down, beginning with, of course, Scottless Rambler sitting on pole. Rick Ray Vaughn to his outside. Cole Freilich in third. Marcus, I'm going to say Jesdal. I'm hoping that's correct. Starting to his outside in fourth. Your top 5 going to be rounded out by Nate Sefker. Bruno Carnero, the last winner that we had on PitStop TV back in Detroit. He's going to roll off 6th place. 7th goes to Kieran Bergelli. 8th to Zach Buchanan. And to round out your top 10, it's Blake Erickson and Noah Carmichael.
We look for P11 and we see Corey Rexford. As we said, he's going to be sporting a Robbie Gordon 1999 scheme from Laguna Seca. And then joining him in the 12th position will be Ray Dolly. Go back to P13. Joey Newsel will be joined on the outside by Grant Timms, who sits P14. And the last person to set a time in time trials was Timothy Trowbridge in that A.G. Foyt-inspired livery. He'll be sitting P15. We go down the leaderboard a bit more. Ryan Noraki, he will sit P16. Matt Chubb, the series points leader, he will start P17 in the middle of the pack alongside Timothy Bates. Stephen Ellis and Warren Keith will round out the top 20.
Franklin Ash is going to be rolling out in 21st. 22nd, we have Chris Walker. And rounding out the final row here, we have Matthew Holloway in 24th and Matt Walters. Or actually, Matt Walters started 23rd, Matthew Holloway 24th.
It's not showing Holloway on our graphic, but that's okay. I'm sure he's still there. So as we get ready to roll off, I'm going to quickly remind everybody of the point standings rolling into tonight. Matt Chubb comes in your points leader with 1 win on the season so far. Spencer Madden missing tonight, unfortunately. He's on a cross-country trip. We wish him all the best and all the safest travels, of course, with everything going on. We won't even get into all that, but hopefully he stays safe. I know he will. Ray Vaughn comes in with 2 wins. He's sitting second next to the other 2-time winner on the series, or on the season so far, Scott Ramley. They both come in about 50 points or so, 60 points or so out of the points lead. Franklin Ash as well, Zach Buchanan just outside that battle. So, coming to the green flag, and these guys are already off and away before I was even ready for it. Scott Rambler's going to roll away with the race lead. Of course, he started on pole, and he's going to lead the field down into turn number 1. Ray Vaughn second, Cole Freilich in third, and then it's Nate Sefker and Marcus Jesdahl.
We were single file on the entry of turn 1 there on the start of lap 1, but we're double file, 2 rows deep, side by side for lead. It's going to be Ray Vaughn and Rambler, and I'm sure that's going to be most of the story for most of the day here today. But the legs of Cole Freilich is also looking to the inside here. A lot of guys looking for the lead here. We know tire wear is going to be an absolutely massive factor here, so I think track position is going to be key.
As we come up to the round of lap number 1, looks like Scott Rambler is going to get that lap, but he's not alone, as the outside line is actually charging as we go into turn 2.
Almost 3 wide already in the battle for 4th there is Scott Rambler, his company from Sefker. Freilich was in that battle. Brugelli's now in this thing, and Jesdahl rounding that battle out. Carnero's a little ways back. Buchanan, Erickson, Carmichael going to round out your top 10. So you can see some of the throwbacks out there. For example, Cole Freilich will go on board with him as he's in that throwback. I've got it somewhere. I know we've got this listed. Paul Tracy is 1995 Budweiser machine, and he's actually just been passed by Kieran Brugelli down the front stretch.
Brugelli just sets the quickest time of the night. Of course, that was only lap 2, long way to go. But, you know, he's taking full advantage of the starting spot up near the top of the leaderboard, excuse me. I think he was sitting around P4 or P5 and definitely has a lot of speed in the car. And, you know, I'm very surprised to see the pack racing that we're seeing so far. It's not necessarily the 2 and 3 wide that we saw at Auto Club Speedway back in, I believe, like 2015 or 2016, the last time IndyCar visited a 2-mile oval, such as Michigan or Fontana, but it's still definitely tight. Ray Vaughn continues to lead onto the entry of 1, Ray Vaughn in tow, or Rambler, excuse me.
Yeah, I was about to mention, I was like, you know, just as we were talking about that there, Ray Vaughn pulled out about a 2-car length advantage there going down the back, as we do have a little bit of a battle going on in the back there. As we see here on the broadcast camera, we are just showing that they are bunching up and just tight racing. Just be aware that these cars are going to experience aero.
Oh, we got
push.
one in the grass.
We got a car in the grass.
I think
there.
that's Buchanan.
That's Buchanan. So Zach
Not
Buchanan issues on lap 4 here, coming to 5, and we'll try and get a replay up of what happens to him. So this is him rolling through turn 3. You can see he's in that battle that Trey Patton was talking about. He's got Carnero to his outside, and completely unrelated, I think it's got to be some issue, maybe, you know, of course we are racing on computers. It could have been a Windows 8 update or something sidelining him, because the car just, it didn't step out or anything. He just turned left. We got one more in the grass. It's Carnero. So we'll get a replay on Carnero's incident here. It looks like possibly the same kind of thing. We'll see what happens to Bruno here out of 4. He's got Sefker to his outside, who was blinking quite a bit those first few laps. I don't think there's any issue there. No. Maybe these guys are getting loose out of 4, because the car just suddenly pitched to the inside.
That would be my reasoning there, because it happened to 2 consecutive guys on 2 consecutive laps. It almost reminds me of the 2016 Daytona 500, where a bunch of guys were getting loose out of turn 4.
Yes, all the Hendrick cars. All the Hendrick cars.
Yes, yeah. No, that's almost exactly what it reminds me of. So we'll just have to see if that's a common occurrence throughout the night. We still have a long way to go here. So as we get back to the live action, we can see that Kieran Brugelli has made his way up to the P2 spot. I believe this is his debut for the season, but I could be wrong. He goes to the point.
And a good pass there for the lead, as I'm actually looking at the battle There's a nice little battle going on for 13th place. They're actually 3 wide for a second back here. There's actually a little pack back here from about 8th place on back. There's probably about 7-8 cars back here. It's actually pretty exciting to look at because they're just all over the place.
So we'll go on board here with Chris Walker, and he's in the midst of all these things, and Bruno Carnero loses some time. He goes by Carnero on the outside there, Carnero on the bottom out of 2, and now he's up behind Joey Newsel, who's rolling the top. Now, I'm really surprised by these guys actually rolling the top as well as they are. Of course, usually the racing line is going to, kind of wash out to the outside down the straightaway so they can get a good arc into the corners and go down to the bottom. But that's not always true. That said, I've not usually seen Michigan races be top dominant. Think of tracks like Homestead, Miami, for example, at least in NASCAR, where you see cars usually go up to the top side and around the top. Darlington, of course, but Darlington's a special case. But there are other tracks around the country where usually you'll see cars migrate up to the high side for the best grip, best speed. Oh, Newsel's tight out of 4, and he might have popped the fence as well. Very slow, going to lose those spots to Ash and Carnero. They'll go on by and keep battling, but I'm really surprised by these guys actually running so high up the racetrack, especially in 3 and 4, because at a place like Indianapolis, you would normally think you'd want to go down to the bottom. Or sorry, not Indianapolis, Michigan, obviously. You'd normally think you'd want to go down to the bottom, but that's just not true so far.
You do say that. I think the big thing at Michigan, especially this old version of Michigan where it's so bumpy, is arcing the entry, especially in turns 1 and 2. Now, I do say that, but I note it more so with the stock cars on the iRacing.com service, but definitely you want to make the most of the arc that you can create on the entry of the corner. And normally you do get pretty low there once you get to about the middle of the corner or the exit. Ray Vaughn is starting to pull out to a bit of a lead there. He has about 2 or 3 tenths right now. Brugeli's still P2. Sorry, Trey.
So I think maybe just kind of what I'm thinking here. So from what I was hearing from drivers in practice, I've reiterated a couple times that these cars are going to push. So I feel like we're seeing cars go up the track a little more. So they might be lifting a little bit more on entry to actually get that arc that you're talking about, so that they're not pushing as much. Because the lower you go, and with the tires not being heated up top, temperature and just even track temp, there's not enough rubber laid down, that car is going to push up the track no matter what. No matter how hard you drive it or anything or underdrive it, that car is going to push up regardless if you're clean air or dirty air.
Yeah, I think one thing these guys have to work with is they're not going to have as much ground effect downforce at a place like Michigan. Considering you're bumping around and everything, it's changing the attitude of the car, and it's just a bit more turbulent, I think, compared to other racetracks. So the bumps here on the legacy version of Michigan, again, as Shuttlesworth pointed out, oh, one car on the fence, that is Jesdal, just pounds the wall out of 2. I'd imagine he'll have to come down the pit lane for repairs here shortly. We'll see if he thinks the steering's still straight. Of course, he'll stick with it, but man, he got the wall a ton. The Scandinavian definitely hurting his chances early on. It's only lap 13 of 155, so not even a tenth of the way into this thing here, Trey. But going back to what I was saying about disrupting some of the downforce, I think just it's not playing nice to these cars to sit down and actually get around the banking. So I mean, this setup, I'm not totally familiar with this setup in particular. I'm not sure if this is meant for the newer Michigan or not. But if it's meant for the newer Michigan and kind of ported over with some adjustments, man, that could be part of the issue. Of course, this older scan of Michigan definitely upsets the car quite a bit, and it's harder to race on for that reason.
Yeah, we're already seeing with Jesdal the effects that can be had when you do have even a slight reduction in downforce in a car that already is kind of screaming for more downforce. Now, not to say that the IndyCar... Oh! And Ray Vaughn looking to the inside, looking for the lead. Who is that? Oh, that's Freilich that's currently running P2 right now. But, shoot, I did just lose my train of thought there. No, in terms of open-wheel cars, the Dallara IR18 on a big oval like this doesn't have a lot of downforce. It has a very narrow rear wing and a very small front wing. So when you're behind another car, you're going to be absolutely screaming for grip in the corners.
And definitely in these cars, that grip is the one thing you need. Because if you don't have any grip, you are bound to hit that wall.
Oh, wreck in the back!
2 cars.
That's Jesdal.
And Trowbridge is involved in this, it looks like he is. So the AJ Foyt throwback already destroyed as a lot of damage. Jesdal, you mentioned, involved in this. You can see his 43 torn up to the bottom of turn 3 here. We'll, of course, get a replay up on your screen. We saw it happen in the background. We were watching the leaders battle. Freilich was bringing the fight suddenly to Ray Vaughn, and it was looking like a pretty good battle. Freilich got the lead for a moment. But further back in your field, this is around the 12th position when this all happens. Trowbridge, you see him come up on the bottom side. He's got a full head of steam, and he's just going to run square. Well, not square in the back, but just smack in the back of Jesdal. And then there's more contact, and that's what involves Jesdal further. So Trowbridge kind of just misinterpreted, I think, the run-up that he would get to Jesdal's machine. But then there's a second part of contact there.
I went on board with Jesdal there. He's out of the gas, so I think he got a lot of understeer on the exit of turn 2, and then, you know, just not enough time there for Trowbridge to properly react. Just a pure racing incident. And then who is it that gets into Jesdal there? I'm not entirely sure.
Man, that's a great question. I can try and find out real quick. That would be one... Oh, that's Warren Keith that actually makes the contact with him. So Warren Keith involved in this one as well, and I'm not sure who he hit to the outside. Was that Carnero? I think it was. No, sorry, that's Keith that slows up. Or not Keith, Jesdal. Who is this black and orange machine? That looks like to be the 31. Ray Dolly, yeah.
Yep.
Man.
Ray Dolly is racing tonight a 2007 W Franchitti-inspired machine for his livery.
This is on board of Trowbridge.
Yeah, I was just about to mention his car is completely destroyed. Just looks like he just was in the gas, had nowhere to go from that. Just was on the wrong end of that. Quite unfortunate for him.
Yeah, and he went gearbox first into the safety barrier on the bottom side of the racetrack on the inside. So definitely not something that you want to have damage with. If you think back to the F1 season opener at Austria this past weekend, of course, Mercedes having issues with their gearbox. So they were just having issues because of, or rather, I guess, Racing Point had their issues. But regardless, Mercedes was aware of it, considering they run the same power plant. My point is, that damage, those issues were just from running on curbs. Trowbridge completely backed his car, gearbox first into the wall. That's going to have some serious implications, not necessarily with the gearbox in particular, because iRacing only can do so much, but would imagine the drivetrain, the powertrain, whatever you want to call it, going to have problems there for the 74, sorry.
Yes. So I'm not 100% sure tonight. I believe an IORL standard, though, is to have one fast repair for these guys. So it depends on whether or not he felt the need to use it. His car looks completely clean, so he could have a completely fresh car here for the next 450 kilometers or so that we have tonight.
Yeah, I think you're right about the fast repair. So the thing of, the thing with that is that you need to use that wisely. You know, considering we're this early into the race, you know, we're on lap 119 of 155. To already use your fast repair right now, now he's going to really have to drive cautiously, as the caution is actually thrown against. We will not be going green this time.
Yeah, so iRacing actually rolled out a recent update, moving all yellows on tracks, I believe, over 2 miles or over, to quickie yellows. And what that means is it's just saving a lap. It's not running that extra lap to split between lead lap cars pitting and lap cars pitting. It's skipping that lap. It's having everybody run down the pit lane together. What the IORL has just done is delay that restart to kind of give that extra lap. Even though all cars just pitted together, it's just going to give these guys a little more time to sort things out, make sure everybody's where they need to be. And I like the move. I mean, quickly yellows are great and all, but sometimes you just need that extra lap to sort everything out.
Yeah, so from my experience with Quickie Yells so far, they're mostly suited for the more casual official series that we see on the iRacing service. Things like the NASCAR Legends series, where races are normally designed to be, I want to say, about 20 or 30 minutes. They don't go longer than one full fuel run. And a lot of the tracks are a bit bigger. And a lot of the people mostly do it for fun. It's a lot less serious in that series. That's more so what I think of as the point of it, or even like league racing. But IRL does like to respect giving the chance for lap down cars to get in there and get the repairs. and get their wave around, which is why quick yellows aren't necessarily the best thing here for IORL at Michigan tonight.
Well, in addition to that, we just got another delay here on the green because we're actually, well, the admins are actually reviewing this. So they're reviewing that incident with Trowbridge and Jesdal. So, yeah, I think that's why, well, that is why we're delaying this restart. Zach Buchanan, I think the main admin here, I think that's fair to say, he's kind of the league owner, the mastermind behind all of this. So he was reviewing that incident and handing out any penalty if needed. I don't know if we got a penalty or not. You guys will be able to tell me better than I can tell. But that's why we had the extension.
Currently, I don't see any penalties being issued within race control, and nothing hasn't really been said over chat yet, so I'm not entirely sure. Although Buchanan, I believe, was reviewing the incident and gave himself a wave around because he was probably watching the replay down on pit road.
Yes,
That's
sir.
my assumption.
And I don't think, and I'll let Patton talk in a second, I'm so sorry, buddy, but I don't think that needs any kind of penalty. Obviously, Trowbridge just didn't quite gauge the closing rate quite right, and unfortunately ran square back in the left rear of Jesdal. It happens. It happens in racing sometimes. You can't always be perfect. You will make mistakes. So, yeah.
One thing I do know about just from previous racing in this series from over the years is that IORL is probably one of the most respectable series that I've ever been a part of. So they have this thing. So they have the honor system. So where if you cause the wreck and you don't claim it, they'll penalize you because, oh, you screwed this over, you screwed this guy over. Well, you're not going to claim it. So if we review it and we see that it was your fault and you don't claim it, that's your penalty. But if you do it, we'll just give you an EOL. Or if, oh, it was a racing incident.
That's right.
They just like to review all of it to make sure that everyone is being sincere, fair, and to give everyone the best product that they can give.
That's right. And I'd actually completely forgot about that. It's been a while since I've raced in one of these IORL races, so I had forgotten completely about that rule. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly the reason, is just to keep everything respectful and whatnot. So it's understandable. It's respectable, honestly. So yeah, fair enough. So probably why we see Trowbridge at the back of the field topping off on fuel here. He is 23rd, dead last, so he will restart from that position. Pace car lights are off, though, here, Mr. Shuttlesworth, and we're going back racing.
Nope, I'm definitely excited. I think we're going to settle into a long green flag run here. And honestly, my hope is that we get into green flag pit cycles, because I just think it gives the chance for someone that might not have raw pace or might be stuck, in the mid-pack and he doesn't have a lot of clean air. It might give that person the opportunity to maybe short pit or go for the overcut instead and try to get out front in an alternative manner than just raw speed. So, we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Also, the fact that they've, got 17 green flag laps under their belt now, so they can kind of get a feel of what the car is going to do, what the track feels like, what it's going to be like to be in clean and dirty air. So they've got a little bit of experience here as the pace car's in, as we are now green, taking lap 22.
So the green flag fly is on the field once more. Ray Vaughn, your race leader, he's got a bit of a jump already over Kieran Brugelli in second place. Cole Freilich in third, Scottless Rambler in fourth, and then it's Nate Sefker in fifth, actually, and he's doing pretty good. I don't recall this name, actually, at all from Indianapolis or Detroit, so I'm glad that he's running up front. He's running fifth place currently as we go back green flag racing. Stephen Ellis, though, he's sitting sixth. He's got company from Blake Erickson a little ways back, and then Chris Walker, Timothy Bates, Noah Carmichael going to round out the battle for the top 10.
So right now, the top three are currently under a blanket. Just a quick note about Safeker. He comes into tonight. This is only his fourth race in the series, and he was the winner at the last round at Road America last week. So I definitely think we have another big talent that is coming to the series, in a series that's already stacked with high-quality talent in the open wheel cars. So single file train down the back straightaway. The top five are now under a blanket right now, side by side, 2 rows deep. And that's going to be Cole Freilich and Ray Vaughn dueling for the lead. Put Freilich to the top of the board, coming to the completion in lap 23.
As Ray Vaughn actually dives to the bottom and takes the lead away and leads that lap. Took it away from Cole there as we go into turn 1 as he dives way up to the top. And looks like he's going to clear him and make the lead stay there, but don't look too far back because Brugelli is not that far behind either.
Yeah, Brughelli in this battle. I see 5 cars all in a line down the back stretch. Brughelli gets a big draft into 3. He almost gets that turn 3 wall a little bit. Sefker has put the pass on Rambler for now. This is going to bring Ellis into this battle as well. So now make it 6 cars in a line as they exit turn 4 down across the stripe. Ellis going to go to the outside of Rambler. These blimp shots are great for this kind of racing.
Nope, it lets you see a lot of the action from a pretty wide perspective. So you kind of do lose that sense of speed that you get with shots that are, you know, normally on walls at speedways like this, but you at least get to see a lot of the action, which when you're a spectator at a race like this, I think that's more so what you want to see when you come to a super speedway. It's, of course, nice to get that sense of speed, but yep, being able to see the action is definitely key. Freilich back to the point. Ray Vaughn looking to the outside down the straightaway. Freilich was voicing his displeasure in not getting that bonus point as Ray Vaughn claimed the point, or rather the lap led a couple laps ago, and I think he gets it that time. Ray Vaughn gives it to him on the entry 1.
Yeah, it looks like he did get that lap led, but it looks like he got a little loose there. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if he clipped the apron on the exit there, but that's going to really hurt him on track position. Luckily, he kept the car safe, so it's going to drop him back to probably about 5th or 6th there, I'm not sure. But thankfully, he was able to keep that car straight, so we would not have another caution. So that'll warm up his tires a little bit, so we are still green.
Well, if I think back to my days of actually racing a bit more often, and I think back to running the stock cars here, the NASCAR stock cars, before we got the rescan of Michigan International Speedway, it was definitely a no man's land down at the bottom side of the racetrack. You did not go down there unless you had to, and even then, you did not go down there because the track was just so loose. There's so many more bumps down there, so much less grip. You just ran a little bit higher up the racetrack, kind of second, third groove was kind of the best, right through the middle of the racetrack. I wonder if it's the same here for these Indy cars, despite the added downforce. Granted, there's really not a whole lot, but despite being aerodynamic machines and just being so good at finding grip, I think these Indy cars are kind of having a similar issue, especially running so much faster and having so much less grip down to the bottom side.
Yeah, well, the big thing is, it's not that this place is progressively banked, but it's just that, you know, there isn't the wide turn radius that you have, and the car seems to be more so set up to take the wider turn radius, whether it be a stock car or an open wheel car at Michigan. Now, I'm sure if you play around with open setups here, you'd have a little bit more leeway in order to run the bottom if you want to, but it just normally tends to be that with fixed setups, the bottom is not the way to go. It also doesn't help that they are on a setup that's designed for a smoother Michigan post repave, apologies, in 2012. So Ray Vaughn is really pulling, but we're going to instead watch the battle for P2 right now. And Cole Freilich is a man that's absolutely on a mission right now. We saw him get loose, and he fell back to about P5 or P6, and he's already looking for P2 on Brughelli, only about 3 or 4 laps after that incident.
Yeah, he did let us know prior to the race that he was feeling pretty confident, felt like he had a lot of speed, and was on a mission to prove that, you know, Indianapolis was not my only track. You know, like, I have speed, I have something to prove. So like you said, man on a mission. He's went from the lead to about 6th place, and now he's, you know, working his way up to the top, trying to get the top spot again.
So as these guys get into a bit of a green flag run, Brughelli up into 2nd, Rambler into 3rd. We saw a bit of a bobble last time around from Freilich on the bottom side of Brughelli. It looks like he got a little bit tight out of 2 and had to lift, and that let the 57 of Rambler go on by. A slow car further back. I'm not sure who that was. I saw somebody drop the order quite a bit at first, but it looks like that has sorted itself out. Regardless, I'm watching the speeds around here, guys, and I know you guys can pull up the same telemetry that I've got. These guys are keeping above 200 miles an hour for most of the entire lap, and that's only going to help this race go by a little quicker.
The other thing is that we're really not seeing a massive amount of fall off yet, and we're already, I don't know, about maybe 10 laps into this run right now. But right now, Ray Vaughn, the race leader, he was only about half a tenth off of his best lap of the night so far. But you go back to Brughelli behind him, and he's about a tenth and a half off. So we're really not seeing a massive amount of fall off yet, but I'm sure it's going to become an issue as we get to the back end of this run here. So yeah, things are pretty single file right now, but I think we're just settling in for what is about to be our first green flag pit cycle. Of course, we probably have, if I'd have to guess, 20, 25 laps. If we're looking at tracks like Indianapolis, a full green flag pit cycle is about
Oh, I
That's
just heard
Freilich
somebody
wrecking,
go.
and he's got Sefker in it. Oh, and Sefker's just been run over. Who was that? Was that Steven Ellis? No, that was Blake Erickson that just ran smack in the back. No, it wasn't. Who was it that hit him? It was Steven Ellis.
Still green, though.
Oh my gosh. We're going to get a replay on this because this is just a massive, massive hit for a couple of these guys. It all starts with Cole Freilich. We're going to go back to the 15 here. There we go, the 15 of Cole Freilich, and he's just going to get into the wall. We saw him get tight underneath Brugeli. I wonder if he hasn't been quite as aggressive on the adjustments that you can now make with these fixed setups as he maybe should have been. No, he gets loose. He gets loose, drives up into the fence, collects Sefker, and then Sefker gets hit by Ellis. So we need to go find Sefker now. I forget which number he is. Regardless, we can watch what happens here from Ellis's onboard and try and diagnose what happens with him.
Sefker is the 2 car.
That'll do it. And yeah, Ellis just runs in the back. I mean, there's a slower car there. Granted, he didn't have a whole lot of options because it didn't look like there was a complete lane to the outside, but even just dip to the inside and try and miss him, but instead runs smack in the back of Sefker's machine. No caution, but man, that was rough.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, but when you're in cars that have downforce like that, once you're committed to a line, it is very hard to evade from an incident like that, and I think that's just what happened with Ellis there. Very uncharacter-like to see an Indy car get loose like that off exit, especially with a fixed setup. So, I mean, Freilich probably had a lot of issues for most of the corner if he was that loose coming off of exit, and it's unfortunate to see a bunch of other guys get involved. And it looks like his day is virtually done because he's already a couple laps down. I wonder if he already utilized a fast repair or if IRL Race Control did not give drivers a fast repair tonight because he's already 2 laps down.
Well, we saw Trowbridge definitely use one, so they've definitely got a fast repair in the bank. But, of course, something that's common if you're familiar with iRacing is accidentally using your first fast repair because you forget that it's, obviously by default ticked on unless you go into the I&I coding and change that. So it might have just been accidentally used for the driver of the 15. That said, he could just be out of frustration staying out of the car. It could be a tow back to the pit lane, whatever. So we'll have to follow up on that 15 car of Cole Freilich throughout the night, but it doesn't look like he's going to have any more of the night for himself.
He's actually back on track.
Well, all right, so he is back out there. So he probably just had a tow. Probably just had to wait on the tow truck to actually get his car to the pit lane. He is right up behind. Well, no, he's not behind there now, but Ellis was in this little group of cars with Chubb and Trowbridge.
Yeah, if you see there, he actually had to check up to avoid hitting them. Because I think he's actually, got a fast repair, so he probably got fresh everything as they're on, 15-lap-old tires. As you see, he's actually making a run to pass them now, but he's making a charge to the field. But honestly, that's really not going to matter considering the fact that he is 3 laps down.
So he's definitely going to be hoping and praying for yellows in this race. IRL does give wave rounds, though, so he would have to not pit under those yellows, though.
So he's out of the race for now, but he can still come back. I do want to mention a couple of battles throughout the field. We've got Franklin Ash actually going at it with Jesdal. Around the top side is Franklin Ash, and he's going to get that position over the 43 of Jesdal. And, man, that was for 9th place. So just inside the top 10, these guys are going at it. Some other cars going at it would be Naraki and Buchanan. Ray Dolly's in this battle as well. This is down around the 12th, 13th, and 14th position here, Patton.
Yeah, back in the back, there's actually some pretty good racing going on back here. Just going back and forth, just sawing at the wheel. Just they're fighting for positions back and forth. I've been kind of watching from about 10th on back, and it's just really, really good racing back here. Like, I'm watching Noah Carmichael back here in 11th place, and he's just, kind of just going along for the ride. No one really around him right now. He's just I feel like he's just kind of getting in the group of things, trying to figure out, as he actually got a little bit of a run there, caught the draft, almost hit the wall there, actually. So I don't know if I maybe have jinxed him there. I don't know if he got any damage from that. But, as you can see, there's just a lot of stuff going on back them, because actually behind them, they're starting to bunch up a little bit. In front of them, they're bunching up a little bit of tire smoke from Zach Buchanan there. Just a lot of stuff going on in the back of the pack.
So things starting to heat up through the mid-pack. I want to mention the lead right now. That has not changed at all. Ray Vaughn continues to lead. There is actually a battle forming for second here, Shuttlesworth. Kieran Brugelli has been caught by Scotland Scramblers side by side out of 4.
Yeah, it looks like Brugelli gassed up a little bit too soon there, and he paid the price with a lot of understeer off of the exit of turn 4, and that's going to be all for now, I think, because Rambler looks like he's pretty committed to getting up to Ray Vaughn, and we know those two are the absolute class of the field most of the time, especially on these ovals. Hopefully Rambler is able to challenge tonight, because otherwise Ray Vaughn is probably going to pull away. Without Rambler in the Indianapolis 500, Ray Vaughn was the absolute class of the field, and he absolutely pulled on that last run, and I'm afraid that may be the case. He just has absolutely superior pace on the ovals in these Indy cars, it seems.
I mean, even from just what I'm seeing there, I mean, you just see Scott just, pulled away. So I think he has really good long-run pace. I mean, maybe he figured something out that Brugelli has not, but, he's actually kind of gaining a little bit of time on Rick. It may not be much, but, over a period of time, if he has that long-run mentality figured out, he shouldn't take that long to be able to get up to that top spot, especially if yellows come out and he's actually up on the point. We might actually see Scott pulling out tonight.
Ray Vaughn on pit road.
Ray Vaughn comes down the pit lane. The first pit stop that we've seen under green flag conditions. This is, I would think, a little bit early. Even with that early yellow we had, this seems a bit early for a pit stop. We'll see what the strategy then is for Ray Vaughn, one of our sponsors this evening, presenting I gotta think. I know this. I gotta think on it. The higher Eric, I gotta remember how to say your last name, buddy. I'm so sorry if you watch this back and you hear this part, because my brain just stopped working all at once. Beaudoin, the higher Eric Beaudoin, 500K. There we go. So the pit stop off and away for Ray Vaughn. He's gonna get back into things, and we'll see where he cycles out. For now, it's gonna be darn near last place. The only car behind him, as he is now one lap down. Actually, there goes Rambler to lap him. The only car behind him on this lap, the only two actually be Steven Ellis and Nate Sefker. He is the first car lap down and should get that lap back here pretty quickly.
He was also joined by Warren Keith pitting there. Keith pitted about one lap prior to Ray Vaughn, so he actually opened the cycle, but he was a bit farther down the leaderboard, it looks like. But yeah, so this will be interesting to see how new tires do against old tires, and it'll give an idea about whether guys want to go for the undercut or the overcut here in a race like this. And he's just making absolutely easy work here at the top two. So that just lets you know that, green tires are absolutely going to be critical here when we transition between pit cycles.
I was actually kind of shocked to see cars come down pit road, because they were only on those tires for about 25 laps. So I was expecting at least 30-35 lap run before they came down. But, obviously, I'm not the expert when it comes to these Indy cars. I don't know how long a run is. But, he knows what he needs for his car, and obviously those green tires, he's unlapped himself, and by the time the leaders pit, he'll be cycled out as the leader.
And he has led 39 laps so far tonight. You can see, though, he is just ahead of Scott Rambler, and Rambler's going to have that toe off of Ray Vaughn, so this is going to hurt him. This is definitely going to hurt Rick, because Scott can keep up a little bit. He can make up some time right here, and this might actually cycle Scott out right where he needs to be to battle Ray Vaughn a little bit, or even overtake the 5 car. So Scott Rambler is actually, I think, going to be the benefactor of all this, because he's still in the toe of Ray Vaughn. Not so much at this point, because Ray Vaughn is definitely, starting to scoot away. But regardless, Scott Rambler's in a pretty good spot, using that draft just a little bit to put some time on the 5 car.
The big thing from Rambler's strategy point is just the fact that he's going to be on the offensive on the back end of the next run. And honestly, if you're on the defensive at the later end of a fuel or a tire run, whatever you want to call it, it definitely puts a lot of uncomfortable pressure that being the attacking car does not put on you. And I like being in that situation if I'm Rambler, even if I go for the overcut quite a bit in oval racing when I go for a pit stop. I definitely like the call by Rambler, because he's not going to be as vulnerable. Ray Vaughn could have gone a lap down there if we had a yellow, and then he would have had to take the wave round. He would have been placed at the back end of the longest line. As we see Brugelli come down pit road, and he's going to come back out. We'll see where he cycles whether he cycles out ahead or behind of Ray Vaughn.
Yeah, just cycling through the field here. Corey Rexford is now in for his stop, rocking that Robbie Gordon 1999 throwback. So you see him leaving his box, going back onto the track. He is now a lap down. Caution is out, so that was actually really good for Corey there. Very good timing, as he was actually in pit road, so that won't hurt him from getting another lap down. So very good call on his end.
And this is going to involve Ray Dolly. He was involved a little bit in that skirmish down the backstretch to bring out the first yellow. Oh, it's Noah Carmichael, one of our commentators involved in this one. Noah Carmichael in the 41. Tons of damage. That car is entirely destroyed. Looks a little closer to an LMP1 car at this point. Doesn't have the front or rear wing or anything there. So we'll go back and see. Oh, he's exiting the pit lane, it looks like. No? Or is he coming in for the pits? So he's going down the front stretch here, and he's going to be on the apron suddenly. He might even get a little bit loose going into the corner, and the car just goes down there. We'll see what happens to Noah Carmichael here. He enters on the top like normal. I think he just drives too far down. He does. He just drives onto the apron.
The unfortunate thing there is that he's going to collect an innocent Ray Dolly, and his car is absolutely total. I think he flipped. Oh no, he's stuck on the safer barrier in the exit of turn 2, so he's going to have to go for the toe, and that's going to definitely put him at least one lap down, and he's not going to be able to get the wave round this time by. So we're going to ride on board here with this cam on right above the aero screen, and yep, caught him in his right front, and that's going to have to be a toe there for Ray Dolly. Hopefully he hasn't used that fast repair yet. Unfortunate for him this early in the running.
Yeah, you want to talk about the apron being no man's land earlier. I mean, that right there with Noah just kind of proves it right there. You do not want to run the bottom. Looked like he was trying to arc it on the seam, just moved it down a little too much, maybe broke loose on him and just clipped that apron ever so slightly and just killed him. And, you know, feel bad for Ray, just had nowhere to go for that. Just unfortunate. Upside down, definitely not what you want to see.
Definitely unfortunate for Ray Dolly, of course, like you mentioned, just getting caught up in somebody else's mess. Pit stops have been completed, though, here under caution, and it's going to shake things up. Scottless Rambler will exit first. At least, yeah, he did just pit. Okay, yeah, I had to double check there because I was starting to not believe myself. So he's going to exit first. He'll retain the lead, which completely blows up Ray Vaughn's strategy and anybody else who just pitted. That said, they will get the wave by, and they'll get back onto the lead lap here. But it's just going to completely blow their strategies to pieces. Blake Erickson is going to exit in second place. You're going to have Timothy Bates in third, Bruno Carnero in fourth, Franklin Ash in fifth. And that throwback that you saw on Noah Carmichael's machine, I'm just going to check the name here because I'm not totally certain. I want to double check. It is, it's Clay McMillan, is it not?
I believe so.
I believe
yes,
I wrote
Clay,
that incorrectly in our notes.
Yes, Clay Milliken. Sorry, I was really struggling. I'm a fan of drag racing. I just don't watch it ever, so I'm just not familiar with certain things. Unfortunately, my family comes from drag racing. Anywho, yes, Clay Milliken. Sorry, jeez, Clay Milliken's 2016 paint scheme. So we'll bring up the 41 car here and show off that for Noah Carmichael. You can see the orange down the side, the neon front wing end plates and rear wings. So not quite the best angle. We'll see if we can punch in a little bit from a blimp or something. Let me see if I can do that real quick. Yes, sir.
Well, at least you can see there, he actually used his fast repair, so he's not out of it yet.
Yeah, you know, he's still in this race, and he's currently sitting 11th after pit stop, so you can see the paint scheme there on the 41. In fact, this is a good chance to go through some of the field and show off some of the throwbacks. Let's see. I thought Matt Chubb had one. I'm going to have to pull up this list again. We got Corey Rexford. We can show that one off. There we go. Robbie Gordon's 1999 machine, and the PitStop TV logo's on there as well. I got to appreciate that. Supporting us over here with PitStop TV. I know we were talking about that last night, Batten, so good to see that Rexford in the Proximity Racing Machine is supporting us here at PitStop TV. Definitely appreciate that. Zach Buchanan, I know, is running a Rick Mears throwback. Not the best look at it. We'll see if that's going to work. There we go. That's a good look at the 4 car.
We also have Nate Sefkers in a Robbie Gordon 2000 Indy 500 scheme. Looks like he finished 6th place in that car in the Indy 500. We also have Ray Dowley in the Frank Heady 2007 Indy 500 car. Looks like Warren Keith is running a 2005 McLaren Mercedes car. And then obviously Cole Freilich, as we mentioned earlier, was running a Paul Tracy 1995 car. And then Bruno Carnero is running a CGR Lightning Stripe Indy 500 car. And then Chris Walker is running a Franchitti 2000 kart scheme. And let's see, did we miss anybody? Let's see, we said Zach.
What we're looking at.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what we're looking at, it's definitely a throwback, but I don't think we have that in. Oh, yeah, we do have that. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Sorry, Trey. Yeah, Frank Keedy did finish 13th in the Kart Series points that season. That was pretty early into his open wheel career at a top tier level.
I don't know if we talked about Timothy Tobridge's car, but he's running a AJ Foyt 1977 Indy 500 winter car. So, if I'm not mistaken, he actually works for AJ Foyt Racing, correct?
Yes, I believe he's an engineer with AJ Foyt Racing. Now, I'm not sure which car he's on. It's obviously either the 4 or the 14 in the IndyCar series, though.
Pretty cool to see him out here representing his boss out here on the sim, which he is currently running 11th right now.
Yeah, Trowbridge was involved in that incident earlier, but is recovering, and we're going to get a couple more extensions here of the yellow, so we'll flip back through all these paint schemes again, because I didn't have the names up, so I'll now leave that up there. Carnero currently sitting in 4th. Did Franklin Ash get a throwback on there? No, it doesn't look like it. I know he was talking about maybe having one. In fact, we'll just go through each paint scheme because I'm not certain. I mean, Jesdal's machine almost looks like it could be a throwback. I have no clue. I'm not as familiar with open wheel racing as you guys are for sure. So we'll just click through all of these and check them out real quick. And if we see a throwback, we'll stop on it. I believe that's a Connor Daly current paint scheme, is it not? They're on Grant Tibbs' machine.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that scheme is to be raced in the Indy 500 this year, but I could be wrong. And it would be by Connor Daly, yeah.
Yeah, that is indeed a Connor Daly scheme.
Oh, Naraki has a Rusty Wallace paint scheme here on the 47 car.
I was about to say that could either be a Rusty Wallace or that could be a throwback to Bobby Rahal, because I think he also ran Miller Lite back in the day.
Probably is. It probably is. Me being from the NASCAR background, I saw Miller Lite and in those colors, and I immediately thought, yeah, I think that's definitely Bobby Rahal, not Rusty Wallace. But hopefully everyone can excuse me on that one, because that was just me being a bit of a NASCAR darf. But Ray Vaughn's actually a good time to mention this one again. He always runs a Rick Mears gold throwback. I forget, was it Gold Lightning or something like that? The actual name of this paint scheme, but he is a self-proclaimed, there we go, biggest fan of Rick Mears, and he really is. He's a massive Rick Mears fan. He always runs this paint scheme. I wish he changed it up a little bit sometimes, but hey, at least he's honoring his hero, and that's pretty cool. He's not the only Rick Mears fan in the field, though. We showed Zach Buchanan's earlier, the number 4 Rick Mears Pennzoil throwback, so he's taking part in this as well. Looks like Brugeli's not. Sefker's not. Matt Walters, though.
Robbie Gordon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say it, but I didn't want to be wrong.
So we actually, lights are off on the pace car now, so it looks like we will be going green this time unless they delay it again.
And this might be my favorite one here, Warren Keefe's.
Oh,
this might be my favorite.
That is a 2005 McLaren Mercedes machine. That thing is clean.
I believe it's the MP420. I was doing a little bit of research because, seeing that livery, it was pretty interesting to see that we do have an F1 livery in the field. It is the only one in the field tonight.
And Corey Rexford with the Robbie Gordon Laguna Seca car, rocking that proximity machine with the PitStop TV logos as we go back to the Miller machine there is Weather Tech with Steven Ellis.
Hey, he's supporting Eric Beaudoin right there, our race sponsor on the evening. So that's pretty cool to see there. That said, we're coming back to Green Flag Racing, guys, and Scottless Rambler, our race leader, he's going to lead the field back across the stripe into the restart zone that is not painted, unfortunately. I wish we had that graphic on the racetrack. That'd be so cool. Regardless, Scottless Rambler leads us back to the green flag. I should probably take the Ray Vaughn logo off the screen. And, man, already a two-wide fight between Timothy Bates and Bruno Carnero off into turn one.
We're definitely seeing that the single file restarts produce a lot of staggering, but then, you know, we get to see packs within 2 or 3 laps. These guys are already going pretty hard here, and we're down the back straightaway. Bates looking to the inside, or looking to defend rather on Canero. And already we have an 8-car pack for the lead. Ray Vaughn on the tail end of it. No, he's actually 3 seconds back from this lead pack right now. So he restarted P10 on that restart, and he's already making a headway from that mid pack that he started with. He's already up about a whole second on P10 right now.
Yeah, I'm watching back in the latter half of the pack. They actually got a little bit of racing going back there around like 16th or so. So, you know, just a lot of interesting, like I know you guys have been looking mainly towards the front, and I'm kind of just watching mid-pack and kind of towards the latter half of the pack because, you know, I like to follow, you know, you never know what can happen in a race at all. And there's just been a lot of side-by-side pack races in the back, even single file, just passes being made. But as we actually had a pass being made for second right now.
Oh, that's the lead. Timothy Bates down to the bottom side. He's going to clear Scottless Rambler out of turn 2, at least for a moment.
Rambler was not happy with that move over the radio, and that's going to move him back to P2 for the time being, but he's still fighting on the outside.
Yeah, I'm looking back here. The battle for looks like it's about 7th place. I'm looking at Franklin Ash. Got stuck on the outside there. We got a pack of about, let's see, maybe 9 cars. As we're looking, you know, Bruno Carnero's up in the mix there. Franklin Ash actually going to the inside here to make a pass for 3rd place as they're side by side for the lead up ahead.
Yeah, this battle for the lead is just too good right now. Rambler crosses Bates up out of turn number 2, gets that lead back for now. It's Ericsson behind them with Ash to the inside. So those are the couple of white cars you see the right side of the screen. And in fact, Ericsson's going to get a big run into one. He sits back, thinks better of making the move. So he's going to wait and see when the time is right for him to make a move here on Bates. But Timothy Bates, we haven't said that name a whole lot until tonight. I mean, I'm not sure how the last few races have gone. But think back to Indianapolis and Detroit. We didn't talk about him a lot as, oh my gosh, very tight out of turn 3.
If you're going to make the move on Rambler, it's going to have to be early in the run because we just see he's so good with tire longevity. So it's good to see guys like Bates going for the lead right now because they know they're going to have to. They're going to have a shot at the win here. It's honestly the best time of the race to try to make a statement out there. Ray Vaughn's not at the top of the leaderboard, and you're really making Rambler vulnerable when we see that if you put him under pressure, it's possible to force a mistake out of him. It's happened, unfortunately for him, quite a bit throughout this IRL season so far.
See, you say Ray Vaughn's not on the board right now, but he's right there. Look, he's right behind Franklin Ash. He's in 4th place.
Up to 5th, rather. Rambler's on the left side of the screen. He is checked out for a moment. But now side by side go Ericsson and Ash as they go into turn 1. Ash backs out for a moment. He's going to stay to the inside of Ericsson, though. Washes up a tiny bit, restricting how much Ericsson can come down the racetrack. Same with Ray Vaughn. Ray Vaughn's looking for somewhere to go. He wants to get back into that lead battle. Rambler is checked out a little bit. You see Bates swerving to the inside to try and get some draft. Now Ericsson's going to use that to get to the inside of Bates. Bates and Ray Vaughn are teammates as well, so sticking it to him.
Ray Vaughn's going to look 3 wide to the inside, and he had an excellent arc off the exit of the corner. He was able to go high and then go low on the exit of the corner, and that's going to put him P2. And all of a sudden, the big 2 here in IORL, they're top 2 right yet again here in the series, and I think we're going to have an absolute duel here. Hopefully we get into some pit cycles. Absolutely love to see it. P3 side by side between Ericsson and Franklin Ash. Ash started P21 tonight, already looking for a podium here, and we're not even halfway.
And Franklin Ash has really been really consistent. He's put on a great show tonight. Just, you know, he's not really one we talk about a lot, but tonight he's had his name mentioned quite a few times. And just speaking of just people that we've been talking about, just, I mean, Ray Vaughn. I mean, that guy was, on the point early on, as he actually just made the pass for the lead. He's back to the point. So that's the thing. We were talking about putting the pressure on Rambler early on because tire longevity was his thing. I wonder if they were trying to maybe get him to use up his tires a little more, and maybe with Ray Vaughn being, he's pushing, but he wasn't really using his tires up, I'd say. So do you guys think that maybe the longevity of Rambler saving his tires will play a factor, or do you think Ray Vaughn's going to pull away?
Only time will tell. Currently watching the battle for 5th, 6th, 7th in around there. As, man, they're starting to mix things up. This is the first good battle on the racetrack. Bates, I think Brughelli, Bates, Brughelli, and Carnero are in that. Now Brughelli's going to take it to Bates, take that fight to his teammate, actually. A couple of Ray Vaughn racing machines battling out of turn 4. Little ways back now, Carnero loses some time, and he's got Jezdal to worry about out the mirrors. Chubb is there as well. Timothy Trowbridge bringing the fight.
Yeah, Carnero has an absolute hornet's nest behind him. They're almost looking 3 deep behind him. And the first side-by-side battle behind Carnero is between Timothy Trowbridge and Chris Walker. They're going to go side-by-side down the straightaway, and that's going to make them pretty vulnerable to the likes of Zach Buchanan behind him.
Yeah, just looking behind this, it's just a big single-file train with the occasional 2 wide there with the outside line kind of forming now. As we come into start-finish line, we're 2 wide, about 4 rows deep there for the time being, as it's going to cycle out to be single file again as we go into turn 1. Just a hornet's nest of cars here, and it's, lap 69 of 155. That's pretty nice if I got to say that.
The battle here is going to go to Trowbridge for now actually is now. That's Chris Walker to the inside, not for position. Walker's a lap down or so, but Trowbridge got away from Jezdal and Chubb, who's now over Buchanan, but he's still a little ways behind Timothy Bates, who's in 7th. So the battle for 7th and 8th has Chris Walker in the middle. That cool number 71. He's going to go down to the bottom side and try and clear Bates. Not battling for position here, but battling pretty hard. Bates gets the top side, the momentum run out of 2, and he's going to clear that 71. Trowbridge follows. These guys are behind Carnero in 6th.
You can't blame someone that's a lap down for fighting hard here. Track position is absolutely key, especially if you're in a place where lucky dogs aren't a factor here in the IORL series, nor open wheel racing for the most part. Just need to stay in a lucky dog position, though, because the farther you fall back down the leaderboard, the more of a chance you have to go even more laps down, and then you just get to the point where you can't escape being a lap down and you're basically out of contention. So by all means, fight for that position, even if it's not for an actual position on the track.
I agree 100%. As we see a car exiting the pits, they're not actually quite sure who that was, but they did not play a factor. As as they are bunching up a little bit there, you see Zach Buchanan up in the mix of this, just kind of riding along as they are side by side again going into turn 1.
Buchanan was side by side there with Sefker. Sefker's going to get away. That is one Matt Chubb, the points leader, battling with the number 4 Buchanan. These guys battling for the last top 10 position here. Very surprised, actually, that Chubb isn't a little higher at the running order right now. But we'll see what he can do throughout the night, as he, again, currently sits 11th as the battle rages on ahead of these guys. Bates now to the inside of Sefker, who's a lap down or so, and Jezdal there in the number 43. And, in fact, they're side by side ahead of them. That was Walker and Trowbridge. And now Walker and Bates are teammates, actually, as well, or at least in the same TeamSpeak channel, the same communications channel. So I wonder why they were racing like that, because it has hurt Timothy Bates, and Chris Walker has gained nothing out of it.
We are seeing Nate Sifker making pure use of those new tires right now. He's absolutely cutting through the field right now. Oh, and we get a caution flag.
Oh, and this is up front, too. This is Brughelli.
Oh, he is towed. Or no, he didn't.
Matt Chubb?
No, this was Kieran Brughelli.
That's unfortunate to see. He
gets turned here by Franklin Ash. Oh, this might be a penalty here on this this caution, this restart. We're going to go on board with Franklin Ash, and you're going to see there's contact made. You don't usually see nose-to-tail contact in IndyCar, but right here, Franklin Ash just rolls up on Brughelli and just turns him right around.
Wonder if that was net code.
I mean, regardless, I mean, he just got right into the gearbox and
Yeah.
spun him out.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little buffer there, but, you know, obviously probably wasn't intentional, but, you know, an incident is an incident. I'm not quite sure if they actually made contact, but regardless, you know. I don't know. He was all up in the gearbox, so that could have been actual contact. Just really unfortunate for Rigelli. You know, they were all running up in the top 5, so if that does become a penalty for Franklin Ash, that will be a to the back penalty, and that's going to hurt him because he's currently 4th place.
Trying to get another couple of looks at it here. And, yeah, this is definitely not what you want to have happen if you're Franklin Ash having a really good run and suddenly, oh, I hit the wrong button. Regardless, man, definitely a little bit of contact there, sends him around. I don't know if maybe there's a little bit of net code to help it out, but, I mean, regardless, contact is contact, and it turns him around. And nose to tail, I think, especially in an IndyCar, like, you've got to roll out of the throttle before you're even in the vicinity of that driver's gearbox. So Franklin Ash, unfortunately, misjudged it and just gets into the back of Rigelli, spins him around, and we have a caution. Thankfully, no damage to either car, I don't believe. So everybody, you know, walks away okay-ish, if you will. But pit stops have been completed here for our leaders, and Scottless Rambler leads the field back out of the pit lane. Ends up passing then Ray Vaughn, and it's a 0.6 second difference, so 0.6 of a second between those two in the pits. I mean, that's actually quite a number. I mean, it's a whole second difference in the pit lane overall.
I think Ray Vaughn will be fine, just because I think he's shown that he has raw pace in the short run, and we haven't really gotten into a complete full fuel run yet. So I think the pattern's going to continue as we get longer and longer to the race, and aggressiveness is just going to continue to go up. So during that pit cycle, I did notice that Bruno Canero did spin on the exit of pit road. It looked like he applied a bit too much throttle, and, you know, the IndyCars have a lot of torque, so he's going to lose a top 5 position on the entry of the pit cycle, and he's going to drop to the tail end of the lead lap here for the restart, unfortunately for Canero, who's having a pretty strong day, even if we're not talking about him that much.
To follow up on that incident, Franklin Ash was given an EOL penalty for that.
I'm sure Franklin knows absolutely that, you know, it's his fault. He got into him. But, man, unfortunate for Franklin because he was running so good. This is a replay of Carnero's incident. And, man, it's, I guess it gives some validity to the pit road incident that we saw in the NASCAR race in Indianapolis. It's not always easy. Even in a video game, even in real life, it's not always easy to come down the pit lane and exit the pit lane safely. Sometimes just getting the throttle a little bit too much, and of course you're trying to maximize what you can, maximize the throttle and minimize your time lost. So fair enough, you know, Carnero is just trying to get out of the pit lane as soon as he can, ends up looping it up out of the pit lane.
Yeah, unfortunate to see. So I'm not sure where he entered on that pit cycle, but he was slated to come out of the pit road in position 5, which would have put him in his highest spot of the day so far. But I think he's shown that he doesn't have necessarily winning pace tonight without a lot of attrition, but he definitely has the pace to run up there for a top 5 tonight if he gets the right breaks here. I don't think we've gotten the yellow delay yet, so we might be getting the 1 to green here. Scottless Rambler, is going to be restarting P1, and he's going to have Ray Vaughn, Ericsson, Tobridge, and Jesdal behind him to round out the top 5. Oh, we're going green.
Oh, this is the green flag. This will be an interesting get going here as we are across the stripe going into turn 1. Rambler has about a 2-car length advantage going into 1, but Ray Vaughn is just on the gas as he goes down to the low side, and it looks like he's going to clear him off the corner.
He does. He makes easy work of that draft, gets right on by the 57 for the lead, but Ericsson has company from Trowbridge, who has company from Jesdal down into turn 3. Jesdal looking for daylight, and that would be for 4th position. Buchanan in this battle as well. These guys moving up from about the 10th position and in around there, up into almost the top 5. Actually, yeah, the top 5 for Trowbridge and Jesdal. So these guys, big gains on that that caution flag and pit cycle.
Welcome to the top 5 for these guys, especially Timothy Tobridge right now, who's looking for that P2 position on Ray Vaughn. Unfortunately, he's going to dive so low that he's going to, unfortunately, lose P3, fall back to P4, and now Jesdal is going to be right on his gearbox. We look to the inside of Jesdal, and we also have, I'm not sure who that is along the inside of him. Timothy Bates absolutely sent the car into the entry of the corner. He's going to clear Jesdal with ease. Now he's going to be on the back of the gearbox of Towbridge as we go down the straightaway.
As we come to the completion of lap 78, we have now reached our halfway mark. Looks like Ray Vaughn is still our leader, Rambler P2. Not really expecting any less here, as Rambler's actually starting to make a run here. I don't think he's going to get it. Looks like Erickson is, I think that's who that is in third, was making a run, but did not get it done. Rambler pulls away a little bit more there as Ray Vaughn still holds onto the lead.
Now the battle for third goes Erickson's way after Trowbridge nosed ahead through the corner. He's working the bottom side, and it's working in the corner, but as soon as they exit, man, Trowbridge gets freight trained a bit and loses a lot of time down the straightaways. Now Erickson really in this battle. He almost got to the outside of Rambler that time by. He's going to look low into 3. Is he actually going to make the move? No, he thinks better of it. I don't think you want to go down to the bottom right now. You definitely want to try and get somebody out of the corner and get to that top side, but it's going to be so tough to do because, of course, everybody's going up to the top down the straightaways and it's going to defend that. They know that that's going to be one of the best places to pass because you can't get freight train on the top. It's a little better to pass up there. So we'll see how these guys race it out. Trowbridge to the inside of Bates, and he's going to take that spot back. Maybe. No, not quite clearing him. That slide job didn't quite work to fruition. Meanwhile, Brugeli's back into this battle. He's battling with Jesdal right now. That's for 6th. He's got Matt Chubb behind, your points leader. But, man, up front, things holding steady, but they keep throwing moves on each other.
On lap 81 alone, Brugeli goes from P9 all the way up to P6, and he's a man on a mission. He hasn't been, quite on the pace as the top 2, but with the right brakes, he definitely has the pace to go out there and go for a race win tonight, I think. We're 3 wide on the entry of turn 2. Still 3 wide down the
Oh! Yep, there they go.
There's a caution.
And that's Brugeli again.
No yellow by race control.
Narwaki involved, and they're going to keep racing. There's the caution. Yeah, that needs a caution. That cannot be left green. That was a big incident out of turn 2. Trowbridge makes a little bit of contact with Erickson, ends up involving Brugeli. Narwaki was involved. I think that's, Narwaki. Narwaki, rather, not Narwaki, Narwhal. Anyways, we'll get a replay on things, and this is going to all happen out of turn 2. As again, Trowbridge will even go on board of the 74. He just gets a run up on Erickson. He's battling to the inside of Bates. He's going to do pretty well there, and he just kind of comes up out of the corner and collects the left rear.
The unfortunate thing there is that he's basically going to come away scot-free, and a lot of guys are going to get damaged as a result. Brugeli got into the left rear of whoever was in the middle there. 1 second.
Erickson.
It's Blake Erickson, yes. And then a lot of guys got collected as a result. And yellow did not come out because the wreck came down into the apron, and that's where cars were when they started to spin, more than 90 degrees or start to slow their pace, which is why iRacing didn't call the yellow, I think. Zach Buchanan, race control, had to call that yellow, and it was a very good call by race control because that was just an absolutely massive incident.
Zach Buchanan was actually he had luck on his side there. He almost got into the latter end of that wreck. He got checked up just enough to where he almost just clobbered the car when the car came up the track. As you'll see it here on the replay, just right there, just looking on that. And then Joey Newsel also just drove straight through it, and just a lot of those guys right there just had luck on their side, and almost, just even you see there, I'm not sure, that red car, I'm not quite sure who that was. Just a lot of close calls there that could have been avoided, but as you can say, 3 wide is never, it's exciting, but it's never something you want to be involved in anywhere, just even in a stock car on this track.
In all of this, Marcus Jesdal is going to stay out and assume the race lead, at least for now. Of course, he could come down the pit lane since he just stayed out to get the lead. We'll see what he does. May just go for that bonus point, but of the cars that pitted, finally, Ray Vaughn's going to hang on to the race lead, and he will exit in second place. And, of course, since Jesdal stayed out, he exits ahead of Scottless Rambler, so he ends up second instead of losing that spot, or anyways, it's a whole situation. The point is, Ray Vaughn will exit second, but actually passes Scottless Rambler, who is going to exit in front of Timothy Trowbridge, who we saw trigger that incident out of 2. I'd imagine he's headed to the back here.
Not sure yet. We haven't gotten an official decision from race control yet, and I think it might be declared a racing incident. Like I said, not 100% sure yet, but we'll get an idea before the restart here. I like the call from Jesdal, even if he comes, out on the wrong end of the stick here on this restart. We get to see how tires that are 5 to 10 laps old are going to handle against guys that are on clean tires, and that can definitely come into play if we get a restart with, say, 5 or 10 laps to go.
I say it might help him on the short run because his tires are already, more hot than everybody else, so he might be able to get a better jump and everything. But with just them being on clean tires anyway and having that draft, they might just drive around him. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen there. We'll just have to wait and see.
So it's lap 85 of 155. We've got 70 laps to go. Jesdal, your leader. 71 coming to 70 laps to go. The yellow flag is going to stay out for now as the pace car leads the field down the backstretch. We're going to step away for a moment. We'll be right back to you. We're not going to go anywhere. We're just going to step away, catch our breaths, get something to drink, and we'll be right back.
Back on the pace car. We're not going green this time. We are not going green.
Welcome back to PitStop TV's coverage of the IORL Grand Prix. Oh, sorry, that is the wrong race. We are at the higher Eric Beaudoin 500K at the Michigan International Speedway here. Looking at lap 86 at 155. We're going to do a couple sponsor read-offs here. We have a lot of guys that are out here paying the bills for this series. A lot of good support here tonight, such as higher Eric Beaudoin. And Eric Beaudoin is a NASCAR championship winning spotter mechanic in Canada and the United States. Eric has worked with Trans Am, Porsche GT3 Cup, Formula 16,000, and late model teams throughout the continent. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Eric is looking for new opportunities in the sport for the future. If you want to reach Eric, you can contact him through his Instagram at Eric Beaudoin. That's EricBeaudoin.
On to our next sponsor, we have Ray Vaughn Racing. Ray Vaughn Racing is a Facebook page solely dedicated to the racing adventures of Ray Vaughn, which is ran by his daughter Mila. It features race broadcasts, highlights, Rick's thoughts, views, personal quotes, and it's fun for the whole family. Also, it is home of the infamous Ray Vaughn Report that everyone loves.
Next, we're going to talk about our presenting sponsor tonight, USRA. The United Sim Racers Association was created with the intent to bring racing back to the drivers. Their Grand Am series showcases Daytona prototypes, DT4 and TC cars with fixed setups, giving the intent of having the drivers win the race, not the setup. The season kicks off in September with a 2.4 2.4 hours of Daytona. To learn more and to sign up, visit them at UnitedSimRacersAssociation.com.
Thank you guys for that, and we're getting ready to go green flag racing here once more, as Ray Vaughn is your race leader. Good to have that nice little support from Ray Vaughn, actually making sure this broadcast can happen with the IORL. The IORL kind of bringing in some sponsorship, I shouldn't say finally, I don't want to say that, but bringing in some sponsorship to help things out and make sure everything runs smoothly. And definitely appreciate all of those kind gentlemen and gentlewomen. Mila running his social media page. We go back green flag racing. Ray Vaughn, your race leader, and gets a big jump over Joey Newsel, who is second place. Zach Buchanan, though, battling with Timothy Bates out of 2.
So that tells me that Jez just did come down pit road that time under yellow, so he must have stayed out to go for the lap-led bonus point there. Having trouble pulling up time, maybe scoring here, but right now we're looking at Timothy Bates, the other yellow car, currently sitting in P3. He has a bit of a hornet's nest behind him right now. Warren Keith in that McLaren livery. Grant Timms right behind him. Grant Timms we have not talked about at all today. He's sitting P6 right now. Just a lot, and he's in that Connor Daly inspired scheme that we were talking about earlier. And I think that's the first time we talked about him, so make it number 2 and hopefully more for him here. We still have about half the race, and he's sitting P6, looking to the inside for P5 on the entry turn 3.
Yeah, pretty solid run for him. I've been trying to keep notes on him here and there, but just not really been running up front, so pretty good for him to see him up front. So we see Zach Buchanan holding off 3rd place, actually making a run for 2nd as he goes to the high side. I don't think he'll get the pass when we go into 1, but just seeing Buchanan up front now, he's been kind of mid-pack all day. So we have a caution flag out on the track.
It's a big one. Erickson stuck in the fence. Franklin Ash, Noah Carmichael involved. Trowbridge involved. Oh my gosh.
You hate to see it.
So we're going to replay on things. Oh, and Carmichael's going to get turned around. Is that Franklin Ash turning somebody again?
Yep, and he did claim the incident there.
Oh, man. So let me find Franklin Ash. We'll go on board with him, see what all kicks this off. And going into turn 1, he's behind the 41 of Noah Carmichael. Carmichael does check up a little bit, but just gets turned around by Franklin Ash, and it's on from there. Erickson gets stuck in the fence. Oh, my gosh.
Big hit, just tumbled that car.
Collected a couple others as well. I believe Sifker. Sorry. Yep, it was Sifker that got collected. Not sure if he has terminal damage. He was that blue car to come in there pretty late to the incident. Then there's also that car that got turned.
Canaro was involved as well.
Canaro, yes. So it looks like about 5 cars involved in an incident, and it's a lot of race day ending incidents, I think, because a lot of those guys have already used fast repairs.
I know Carmichael has. I think Erickson has. We'll see if those guys get back on the racetrack. Man, I'm not sure. I don't think Trowbridge was actually involved. I'm not sure what has happened to Timmy here. Because going back a ways, he was not involved. He's just sitting in the pit lane, so he might have had other things to go tend to. We're not certain. But Ray Vaughn's going to lead the field down the pit lane. Looks like most of the field going to be takers. Timothy Bates, though. No, Joey Newsel. Now, who is going fast? Jesdal, that's who it was. Marcus Jesdal stays out.
If we get a chance to look at more replays, might want to go on board with Bruno Canaro. He was nearly 90 degrees sideways, and he was able to save it there after that initial contact.
So the race off pit road, we'll try and go back and see what happens with Carnero here. Man, that was a 3-wide race for some of those drivers. I want to go back and see that real quick and see who comes out on the top side of that. That was, Tim's in there. Yeah, so Grant Timms, Matt Chubb, Warren Keith were the cars that were side by side across the end of the pit lane. And you mentioned Bruno Carnero getting through that one. Well, not through it, but involved in saving the car. So I'll try and go back and see if we can't find where all of that happens.
And from the looks of that incident did end Franklin Ash's night as he is disconnected from the session.
And since we'll probably have a decently a decent length yellow flag here. We'll try and talk to, kind of like an infield care center interview, if you will. We'll try and talk to Noah Carmichael. And yeah, oh wow, he kind of phases through the back end of Ash, but then, yeah, sideways and somehow saves that car. So that's a good piece of driving there from Carnero.
I think there's a reason he won that race in Detroit, and I mean, that was a track that took a lot of car control, and he showed it there, and that was really instinctive save of a car right there. So good job, Carnero. You're still in the race here, and you still have about 2 laps to go out there and go for it.
And the thing in with the Indy car too, that's not an easy car to save.
Definitely is not. It's kind of like an arrow. If you're not going straight, you're going to have problems. That said, we're going to bring in one Noah Carmichael. And Noah, do you have a copy?
10-4, I got you loud and clear.
Well, Noah, when you said that, I don't know if you were actually expecting to get pulled in here after that incident, but we do want to hear your side of what just happened.
Yeah, I was just riding around trying to mind my business. It's not even 20 to go yet, so I wasn't trying to push. And then I just got ran into from behind. I forget, the 47, I think his number is, he messaged me and said it wasn't intentional. I just lifted earlier than he expected, so it's no hard feelings on that. Because in all honesty, I would have been fine if I didn't get plowed into, which did happen, but just killed my car. So it's had too much damage, and we're done. So good race. It was fun while it lasted. I thought I could do something, but you know, you can't really help it when people don't know how to hit the brakes.
Well, no, we saw you have an incident earlier, so we'll move off of this incident, move to the wreck that you had earlier in the race. What happened there?
Oh, I just hit the apron. It's just simple. I hit the apron and the car snapped loose. I just had issues. I was trying to get lower and lower and lower as the race went on because the car understeered so much. It was like driving a tractor. It's just you turn into the corner and the car wants to plow into the wall and kill me. Or my bad, it hurt me. So it just didn't go that well.
Well, Noah, we appreciate your time. We actually went back green right there, so Jezdal is going to lead the field off into the corner. But thanks for catching up with us, and we'll be talking to you later on.
10-4, thanks, guys.
And so we'll see Noah, I'm sure, in another broadcast this week. The battle, though, for the lead. Ray Vaughn goes the inside of Jezdal. This battle with Jezdal staying out will actually come to fruition. And Shuttlesworth, we'll see how it works out. He's already been gapped, though. He's been taking a Gapplebee's for a nice steak dinner on the bill of Ray Vaughn. He's just going to drive away.
You know, kind of expecting that from Ray Vaughn. He doesn't have Rambler up there for company. I think Jezdal's going to... You know, I think that's going to work out pretty well for him just because the start was really staggered and the top three were really able to pull away from the rest of the pack right now. And he's also going to get a bit of an idea of how those tires are after a couple laps of wear on them. And we're seeing that he's able to contend with Ray Vaughn. He's looking to the inside of Ray Vaughn here on the entry of turn 3. Joey Newsel in tow. To the lead goes Marcus Jezdal. Ray Vaughn's probably going to have a run as we head exit turn 4. Side by side coming to the line.
Yeah, the start was really pretty staggered, and they gapped a little bit. As you see, Newsel's still in tow there. Actually, looking further back in the field, Rambler's in the 11th spot, so he's got some ground to make up. But, you know, there's still a lot of racing left. There's about 60 laps or so left, so, I mean, can't count them out yet.
No, definitely never can. And oh, Jezdal's going to make the move to the inside. He almost runs Rick up the racetrack a little bit. Rick falls back underneath his gearbox here out of turn 4, and he's going to bring the fight back to him a little bit. Side by side across the line. Jezdal's going to lose out on that lap. Newsel's loving what he's seeing, though, because he's just going to drive right up to these guys.
No, when you see stuff like this where guys are side by side on straightaways, it's just creating a massive amount of drag. And if you're that third place,
oh, they're wrecking Tim's around. He saves it.
90 degrees sideways.
Wow. Who was that?
That was Grant Timms. I want to watch that one back.
Let's do that in an IndyCar.
Like, he was airborne.
He's going to get turned, it looks like, by Sefker here. And yeah, Sefker just comes up out of the corner, and yeah, the two left side wheels were up in the air, and he somehow regains control of that race car. I've never seen that before. That's incredible.
And he's going to stay on the racetrack, and he's still P10 out there. That was absolutely insane. And we have a battle for the lead yet again. To the outside, Ray Vaughn looking yet again on Jezdal.
Whoa!
His name earlier, side by side. Woo, nearly close with the contact.
And this race is incredible. I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm not even driving. Like, so.
Well,
I don't know
if you
if
were
I-
driving, I would hope you weren't on the edge of your seat, because then you're not quite where you should be. But
Yeah,
the
hopefully
point remains. The point remains, and I have to agree with you. This has been a great race, as now Jesdal is going to have company from Newsel. Jesdal's tires are working great right now, despite being a few laps older, about 5 laps or so, and a lot of that's caution. He's still hanging in there.
And he is getting in the head of Ray Vaughn. Ray Vaughn is voicing his displeasure with race control over the way he's racing. But if, for us here in the booth and for you at home, this is absolutely electric, this action. This is probably the best racing for the league we've seen all day. Unfortunately, Ray Vaughn's going to pull away by about half a second, but we still have a 3-way duel for second place. They're almost 3 wide on the exit of 2. Sifker yet again makes his way through the field, and he's P3 yet again.
Yeah, Zach Buchanan also getting up in the mix of this now, as he's going to get a little bit of that draft going down the back straightaway going into turn 3. As we see that Jesdal's still holding on to second with those older tires, but, how much longer will those older tires hold on? I don't know. As we see Buchanan actually goes down to the low side. He's going to make up a spot there. Might be able to make up 2 spots. Looks like he's not going to, as he has to check up a little bit going into turn 1.
Buchanan racing Newsel for 4th, Sefker into 6th rather. Rambler behind him, Bates behind them. So things starting to sort out. We're starting to get the picture of how this is going to work out. Chris Walker is in 3rd place, and he was a lap down maybe 20 laps ago. So by virtue of these cautions, he's gotten back into this race. Not only did he get his lap back, but he's up into a podium finishing position right now with a little over 50 laps to go. So Chris Walker is suddenly looking great right now, the 71 Dario Franchitti throwback. He was racing Jesdal pretty tough right there for a moment. Now, on the subject of Marcus Jesdal, he was certainly racing hard, but I don't think he did anything wrong in that battle with Rick Ray Vaughn. A couple of times, he did limit. He picked his line, and he made Ray Vaughn choose that line or wreck them both. Now, I mean, it's aggressive, but I don't think there's anything wrong in that. You're just simply asserting yourself as somebody who wants that position. You're racing, and if you hold your line, fair enough. Now, to Ray Vaughn's credit, obviously there's the assumed racing line, but at the same time in racing you can't assume anything, because that's exactly how wrecks happen. You assume that somebody's going to do one thing, you do a different thing, suddenly you're wrecking, and that's exactly the problem. So I don't think Marcus really did anything wrong there in that battle.
The only criticism I can give is that it's lap 100.
Yes, there is still a lot of racing to go. Fair enough.
But the racecraft was absolutely pure, in my opinion. They did make contact. They were pushing each other to the limits. And as a spectator, that's absolutely what you love to see. And it shows that these guys really are fighting out for the race win, even if, like we said, we still have long ways to go here. I like what Jesdal's doing. He absolutely made a statement. He's in the head of Ray Vaughn with all of those moves and all the aggressive driving. So I think mission accomplished there, even if he isn't sitting P1 right now.
Yeah, just to reiterate a little bit on that, just one thing, from being in the booth standpoint as a spectator sitting on a broadcast, that is great content. But coming from a racer standpoint, you're on a racetrack to race, so why complain about being raced? That's what we're here to see. It's what you're there to do. You even see it in, even in real life racing, just even on the NASCAR side, people complain about being raced too hard. It just doesn't make sense to me. I could, maybe if he's coming from the standpoint of being raced too hard like that with 50 to go, but it just never has really made sense to me on complaining about being raced.
I can certainly understand the frustration. You're racing this guy, and he just does something unexpected. Wow, Walker washed up out of 2. Speaking of things unexpected, man, he got tight there. The arrow push, not Chris's friend. He washes up almost into the side pod of Jesdal, and that's almost about what Jesdal did, except Jesdal picked that line to begin with. So, he was right there and really limited Ray Vaughn's ability to go anywhere else. And it's racing, though. Jesdal's doing what he thinks he has to do in order to win that battle. Unfortunately, didn't come out on the better end of it. That said, he's got a bit of a downside in those tires, bit of a handicap, if you will. So, wow, as Walker gets loose on the bottom side of turn 2, that bottom was just not friendly at all. Newsel's in 4th. He's going to go roll right up to Walker, and he's going to try the bottom, but I think that slider might work. No, he's not going to clear him. So, Newsel's going to have to sit back in 4th place, it looks like. We'll see how they fare up out of the corner, and Walker does not really get that run run that I thought he would, so Noozle will clear Walker. He goes by for third, and Scoutless Rambler is suddenly in that neighborhood for that third place battle.
I definitely like what we're seeing here because we're looking at the point of maybe getting 1 or 2 stops here to the finish. We're finally getting spread out, and I think we might get that run to the end finally. And we have a lot of the day's best contenders up there battling for the top spots right now. The only person I can think of that, we've been talking about all day that's not immediately in contention is Sifker, but Sifker's also in P6, right behind Rambler. So, I mean, I say that, but most of our contenders are right up there battling for the lead, even if they aren't nose to tail right now, just because that restart was really spread out. Side by side right now between P3 and P2, we ride on board with Cole Freilich. I believe he stands a lap down. Oh no, he's back in the lead lap, so that last yellow, he finally got his lap back, and that puts him right back in contention. We saw earlier he had good pace in qualifying, he had good pace until an earlier incident. He might be the man to beat if he can get back up there.
Yeah, I was just about to reiterate that just Cole, as we mentioned earlier on, was 3 laps down at one point from that earlier incident. Here we are. Yeah, it's just now he's sitting P8 and making good pace. We still have green flag stops, so anything can happen here.
Well, you say that, and that's what I think Shuttlesworth was trying to say. He just pitted. So Freilich apparently did not have the tires to go to the end. I'm not sure because as soon as he came out of the pit lane, it reset the stint that he was on. But must not have had the tires and the fuel to go to the end like everybody else right now. So he's going to come down the pit lane. Definitely a shortstop. I don't know, and I don't think... No, he can't be good to the end from here.
If you are Cole Freilich and your laps down, though, you are...
Well, he wasn't laps down. I mean, he was with everybody else.
Not on the last restart?
No.
Oh, okay. See, okay.
I think he got a wave around on the last restart, so he wasn't able to pit.
Okay. I wasn't 100% positive, but that might... Yeah, I'm not sure that might be the case.
It must be, especially him pitting right there. He must have stayed out the last couple of times to get those wave buys. And, it puts him back into the race for a moment, but without an early caution, that's going to hurt his chances, and it might put him a couple of laps back down if we run to the green here. But if Larry Mack's trends fall true so far, I don't think we're going to get to that point, because as soon as we saw green flag pit stop start up earlier, we had a caution.
The trends have been today that, we can't get, I'd say, more than about 20 or 30 laps before we have an on-track, isn't it? It's going to happen. We have a lot of guys. It's a track that, creates aggressive driving pretty naturally because it can be a bit difficult to pass because we don't have the smooth Michigan International Speedway that has been introduced to the service in the last year. My only point to add there is that this is the most spread out we've been. So if we're going to go the distance, I think this is our best chance of doing it right now. If we get another yellow, I think we're going to have a series of cautions to the end.
I agree, but another guy that we haven't really said much about, the 71 machine, Chris Walker, sitting P3 right now, but not far behind him is Rambler and Noozle. So I expect them to be coming up on them very, very shortly. But so far, we haven't mentioned much of Walker, and he's sitting in third right now.
And this is a home race for Walker as well. Out of Michigan, currently running third place. He started 22nd on the day, so to be within a couple of seconds of the leader right now, it's got to feel pretty good. And he was a lap down just a little while ago. Remember, he was racing Timothy Bates, who was on the lead lap. So Chris Walker's had a heck of a day, and to suddenly be back into this fight is definitely a pretty good day for him right now. He's looking at a possible podium. I mean, he's just doing great. And I really hope it comes to fruition in some way for him. That said, if Scottless Rambler has anything to say about it, I don't think he'll finish there. Somebody else I want to touch on, Marcus Jesdal. He's still hanging on to second on those slightly older tires, and that certainly shows that as long as you don't have too many laps on those tires, you can still race. So definitely props to Marcus Jesdal at the moment, running pretty good on those slightly older tires. Now, again, it's not a big difference, but any difference is a difference, especially on iRacing's tire models, new and old.
It does make me wonder if he's going to want to go for an undercut here as we enter the next pit cycle, because we see just the big difference that clean air has once you get into a green flag run here, and getting that clean air that that short putting would allow him to do by getting fresher tires sooner than Ray Vaughn may put him in the position to win the race right now. Now, he does sit only about half a second behind Ray Vaughn, So that might be the move if he wants to get ahead early in the run, or he could be on the offensive late in the run and wait until after Ray Vaughn pits. Regardless, as long as he gets a clean pit stop, I think he's in contention here. Only thing he has to worry about is the hard charges of guys like Walker, Ramler, Sifker, and maybe more.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Just making sure he has a good stop, doesn't have any issues like he did at Indianapolis. We saw he had pace there and just had a couple problems on pit road, and that just ended his day. So as long as he can get the run going, stay consistent, and not have any issues on pit road, I think it might fall into his lap.
And Jesdal is actually, I think, starting to draft up to Ray Vaughn a little bit. So Ray Vaughn might have a battle on his hands here shortly. I think he's starting to kind of save tire, and that's allowing the 43 to draft right back up to him. A couple of other battles, I showed one a little while ago, in fact with Carnero and Bates. That has since spread out a little bit. But Grant Timms and Matt Chubb are going to have a battle on their hands shortly. This is just inside the top 10. In fact, Matt Chubb is 10th place. So these guys could be battling here in just a short while, and could be for some valuable points that Matt Chubb is going to need to hang on to his points lead. I mean, he's got a massive points lead, even to Spencer Madden, who isn't here tonight. But still, you want to pad that in any way you can, or only lose X amount of points. So he still has to be careful with what he does, and he's still going to have a good run. But he's looking pretty good as far as the championship goes, Matt Chubb.
I believe a race win is somewhere around 24 or 25 points. Oh, Timms gets loose. He's going to spin off of the exit of turn 2 there. Not going to be a caution, and it's a single car incident, so I think Racing Control is going to wave a yellow, not wave a yellow, but he does spin back up onto the track. That's really dangerous. Still struggling to get grip into those fires.
There's the caution.
It was an iRacing controlled caution. I'm not too sure about that. It looked like he was trying to get the yellow wave by iRacing Race Control.
Oh, he's gonna get. That was Rick Ray Vaughn! Oh my gosh!
Was that Rick Ray Vaughn?
That was Rick Ray Vaughn!
Oh no. There's definitely, if there wasn't going to be a penalty for sitting there before, there's definitely one now.
I would imagine this will be Ray Vaughn's fast repair, and he'll stay in the race. But now, if there is an incident racing for the win, Ray Vaughn's out.
So we're going to go on board with Ray Vaughn here, and
he sees that. Oh, yeah, I mean, I can't blame him. He sees the slow car up top, and Timms just hits the throttle and spins it, and, I mean, Ray Vaughn has nowhere to go at that point. He's committed to the bottom. I can't blame him.
Nope. If he's holding the brake, that's the correct line to go. So, you know, Rick Ray Vaughn did absolutely nothing wrong there, and unfortunately, he's going to pay the price there. Like you said, though, I am sure he has a fast repair. I'd hope he has a fast repair because he's kept the car very clean today. So I guess we'll find out. I don't think he's out of contention, as long as he has that fast repair.
No, I think as long as he has that fast repair, you know, he'll sit in pit road. You know, he's going to be going into pit road in the 3rd spot, so I don't think he'll. If he loses a spot on pit road, he might lose one. So I'm not going to count him out of it. I think he's still good.
We're going to watch a replay of what happens to Timms here. He's just loose in the bottom. He has no damage before. He goes around. And I mean, we've seen cars get loose there all day long, but what happens after this, you just can't allow to happen. And, of course, Race Control has been reviewing incidents all night long. This is one that certainly needs looked at. I mean, he's definitely, it looks like here, trying to draw the yellow, and eventually he does, and he tries to get going. This is where Ray Vaughn comes up on him. He gets into the gas, no damage on the car, and just loops it. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the car. There's no reason that he should have spun out right there. Nothing wrong. The car was in perfect condition, and he just loops it.
I mean, the cars just have too much torque to be trying to, like, you know, go full throttle in first gear, and I think that's what happened a couple of times. A little hard to determine intent there. If he was stuck in first gear and kept trying to...
No, I mean, there's no way he meant to do that. There's no way he meant to take Rick Ray Vaughn out like that. But you still can't allow that to happen. You can't do that. And I think that's where the penalty system comes into play, so that when that does happen, unfortunately, that's taken care of swiftly. So I'm sure Zach Buchanan will review that. It's just so mind-boggling. I say that, and Zach Buchanan's exiting the pit lane, and that one might just be cut and dry. Man, that's just so unfortunate for Rick Ray Vaughn, who was doing so well all day long and put himself in a great position here for the end of the race. He's still in this. He's leading, in fact, but if anything happens, his race could easily be over. And, man, that's not a good feeling.
No, in the Indianapolis 500, just speaking from personal experience, not having to use that fast repair at all, it gives you a lot of comfort late in the race if there is to be an incident. And in the least, he did a good job of conserving his car to this point, but now you get to the point where you want to be aggressive, but if you're aggressive and you wreck the car out, that's it. And that's why you definitely want to preserve that fast repair in IORL where you get one.
I agree. I'm still just confused. Like I get he was trying to draw out the yellow, but like he was having that much issue getting the car back going on the racetrack, but he had all that room on the bottom to get that car going.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you don't have to pull into the racetrack like that, especially once the caution's already out. You can do that on the apron, and then if you spin out, you can spin onto the apron. But regardless, what this does mean moving forward is we're going to have about 20 laps to go when we restart. In fact, pace car lights are already shut off, so I think that one was just cut and dry. Ray Vaughn, your race leader, and, well, I don't see Zach Buchanan in the lineup, so maybe, oh, there he is. So maybe it's already been reviewed. It is worth mentioning, I don't see very many cars here in the same frame, so we're starting to run out of cars on the racetrack. In fact, only looks like 14 on the lead lap with the addition of, no, 13 on the lead lap with the addition of Cole Fraley getting that lap back. So Timothy Bates last on the lead lap in 13th. Corey Rexford, your first driver, 1 lap down.
Yeah, we'll come to the restart here. Still about 15 cars in contention. Ray Dolly is 2 laps down. Rexford's 1 lap down, so all those guys need is a couple more yellows, and they're right back in the fight here. Ray Vaughn, after that incident, he's still going to be leading to the field to the green. Look right behind him. You have Scott Rambler. Green flag in the air. Have about 30 laps of action left here. Let's see who goes for the win here.
Yeah, going to see a lot of side-by-side action. Everyone's going to be a little more aggressive now, considering the fact that it's coming to 30 laps to go. 30 laps, hopefully if we can go to the end, that's about a fuel run, so I don't think they're going to have any overtime. I don't think these cars have your white checkers. I could be wrong on that, but...
Oh, man, Jezdal, a big power move, gets by Rambler, was looking to the inside of Ray Vaughn for a moment, thought better of it, didn't force anything. But you mentioned, I actually think I said 20 laps to go. It is obviously 30 laps to go, and 31 across the stripe there. Chris Walker's back in this battle. He's looking to the inside, possibly for 3. No, he sticks behind Jezdal and keeps it too wide up front. But, man, he got right on by Scott Rambler. Here comes Sefker as well, and Noozles with him.
Hello there, Chris Walker. Hello there, Mark Jezdal. I mean, we've seen these guys a lot late in the running, and, they're putting the fight back onto Ray Vaughn yet again, like we saw in that last restart. Ooh, Jezdal nearly washes up into Walker, although it did look pretty, calculated the move there. It could have gone wrong pretty easily. So Walker's going to move P2 down the straightaway, back in line there for the number 43 machine. Although to the inside of him, it's going to be Sifker looking to the inside, looking for that last podium spot, and he might go for P2 down the back straightaway.
Yeah, after that little mishap, Rambler's all the way back to 7th place now. So I'm not quite sure if he's trying to be conservative. We're actually 3 wide going into turn 3. Looks like they got out of that.
And Bruno Carnero has entered the chat, boys. Remember the last race we covered with the IORL? Was Detroit, also in the state of Michigan. He got up to 4th place with that move right there. 3 wide to the inside of turn 3. Meanwhile, Chris Walker brings the fight to Ray Vaughn, and he's nosing ahead for now into the lead.
Still side by side down the back straightaway. No one giving an inch, and right behind them, it's Nate Sifker. He's been in the top 5 for most of the day. He's been up and down the leaderboard, but he's maintained relevancy for most of the day so far. So it looks like for now, Ray Vaughn's going to hold the advantage. Walker's going to come off of the exit at 4. He's still going to be alongside him. Not quite. Coming across the stripes. Sorry.
Yeah, it looks like that high side is just definitely where you want to be on corner exit. Just because you get a better run off of the corner there, excuse me. But, from the looks of it here, it just looks like Ray Vaughn is, as long as he can hold that top line, I don't think he's going to be going anywhere anytime soon.
And of course, that's what's so great about being able to defend as the race leader, or defending any position for that matter. you can hold that top line, really defend, really make somebody work for that pass. What's interesting to me is these guys are down in 4th gear. I didn't think I'd see that at a place like Michigan. Possibly something to watch out for tomorrow night in the SRCA IndyCar World Series finale at Auto Club Speedway. Of course, Penske built that place to mirror Michigan, just a little bit flatter. So the same shape racetrack, just flatter and a very different surface. Still has the seams and the grooves and everything, but that track is a lot more worn out. It has the notorious bumps into turn 3. So similar but different as Carnero loses the position to Scottless Rambler. Rambler back up into 4th.
The big thing with Auto Club is that it is absolutely wide compared to Michigan. And as you said, though, it is massively bumpy. It's caused nosebleeds, the bumps on the back straightaway at Auto Club Speedway. Now, fortunately, that's not going to be an issue for these guys virtually here on iRacing. But it just shows you that how tasking the track is here. Walker looking to the inside yet again through 3 and 4. We're going to go back and see that Scottless Rambler is also running P4 at the moment. Not enough there for Walker for the lead this time by. We come to the completion of lap 130. 25 laps remain at Michigan.
As we're on board with Chris Walker here, going to see if he tries to make a move going into 1 and 2. Doesn't look like he's going to. As he runs to the bottom, trying to get some of that clean air. He's going to run back up behind Ray Vaughn to get the draft as we go into turn 3. Doesn't look like he's going to get the run he wanted there. He's just going to stick behind him. As they are actually starting to stack up a little bit behind him, too wide with Rambler.
These guys still fighting. There goes Carnero to the bottom side, looking for some positions. Carnero gets by Rambler at least. He's going to look to the inside of Sefker, roll the bottom side, and try to get that 3rd place away. He's not going to do it just yet. So he's going to fall in ahead of the 57 of Rambler, behind the 2 of Sefker, who's now looking like he might try and fight Chris Walker and Rick Ray Vaughn. No, he stays back. I mean, that's the way to do it, I think. Wait for your opportunity. Let these guys burn their stuff up as Walker battles to the inside once more.
I think Walker has it this time. He's going to come down the front straightaway. Will he lead the lap? Yes,
just
not
barely.
Much. And the thing is now is that he's going to have a lot better opportunity here through 1 and 2. Unfortunately for him, he concedes. Fortunately for Rick Ray Vaughn, he's going to continue to conserve those tires by running a consistent line. That's something that, as the P2 car of Chris Walker, you don't have the option to do. You're, losing a lot of downforce by running behind a car. Again, it's just he wants to get out there, and he's going to need to do it soon, or he's going to have tires that are too worn, I think.
Yeah, just the tires that are worn, he's racing them really, really hard. So he's using his stuff up. If from being in the broadcast booth versus being in the driver's seat, you kind of have different scenarios going through your head. In the driver's seat, you want to be on the attack, you want to do it, but looking at it from a broadcast point, from knowing what it's like being in there, you want to try and conserve it. As I say that, he's on the attack as he makes the run for the lead. I don't think he's going to clear him here, but it's going to be very close at the line here, as we saw the battle of the last lap. Looks like Ray Vaughn is going to edge him out at the line as he clears him there. Just very, very close battle here. It's definitely something to watch.
And Sefker continues to sit behind and wait for the right time to make a move. Just saving his stuff, saving his tires. And Scottless Rambler suddenly is in that as well. He's now 4th. He has gapped Carnero quite a bit. Newsel back there, Chubb back there, Buchanan. They're all fighting. In fact, it's worth it to go back there because they are side by side, Newsel and Chubb. And Chubb has a big run out of 4 to Carnero.
So yeah, Chubb's looking to the inside. Despite being the points leader, he has not had the best day here today so far. And now looking to the inside of him, is that Zach Buchanan? Oh no, I believe that's the
That is.
Car. Oh, that is Buchanan. Looking to the inside of Chubb. They're both making their way up the leaderboard pretty progressively here today after, struggling here in the midpoint of the race outside of the top 5, and do not count them out of a top 5 finish right now. Matt Chubb doing what he needs to do to hold on to that points championship right now. I don't necessarily think he can secure the points championship tonight from where he is, but he can put himself in a good position to lock it up in Laguna Seca next week.
Yeah, I feel like he's just kind of trying to be conservative. He does have a little bit of a buffer tonight, so as long as he can keep the car clean and get a pretty decent finish, I think he'll have a good enough buffer to go in to the finale and actually be able to do something. As you see, I think that was Bruno got a little bit loose there.
That he did. Looking at the point standings, It's a 62-point gap back to the next driver that is actually here tonight because, of course, Spencer Madden missing Michigan this evening as Timothy Bates rolls down the pit lane. I think we're going to see more of that here as the night goes on. 18 laps to go. I think we have more pit stops on the way. It's sounding like Rambler might be the only one with fuel to get a little bit close to the end. We'll see how that works out because he pitted at the same time, but that's what we're being told, at least from YouTube chat. We'll see, but my point being with Chubb is, you know, he comes in with 62 points to Rick Ray Vaughn. I don't think you can make that up. Realistically, as long as Chubb earns points the next few races, I don't think that's going to happen.
So we're going to continue watching this battle with Newsel and Canero. But honestly, the scenario that it reminds me of is Formula One and the turbo hybrid era, where Mercedes, you know, comes in, whether it be Lewis Hamilton or for the drivers' championship or Mercedes as a constructor, they come into the last 2 or 3 rounds. It's basically a matter of what race are we going to lock it up, because they have that many points coming in, and that's the situation that Matt Chubb's in right now.
Yeah, as we see Rambler is starting to work on the back end of Nate Sefker here for P3. Looks like he was getting close, as actually the battle for the lead is actually starting to go up again, but it looks like he's going to try and go to the bottom. He wasn't able to clear him. It's, you know, it's just looks like it's just the same thing over and over again. He's going to try it and doesn't make it work. I feel like later into the run, we're going to see a lot more aggressive runs as we're coming to 15 to go at the line here. Just, I don't even know what to expect at this point.
And of course, Walker's just trying to find a way to get by Rick Ray Vaughn. Sefker's been sitting back and letting these guys battle, and I don't think that's going to change. What's interesting is, I'm going to wait for the wheel to straighten out here before I say it. Yeah, Sefker's in 6th gear, where these guys I think are still racing in 4th and 5th. So speaking of fuel, Sefker, you can see right above his helmet in 6th gear. That's going to make a big difference in terms of fuel saving. He's drafting and running that higher gear, and he's not downshifting. So I don't know. I mean, we might have a fuel mileage race on our hands, boys.
We have one indicator that's going to help us determine if we're going to have a fuel mileage race. So most of these guys are on 20-lap stints right now, except for Cole Freilich, who is 32 laps into a run right now. So he has 12 more laps of fuel, or rather has expired 12 more laps of fuel than the rest of these guys. So when he pits, it's going to give us an indication as to whether or not we're going to have...
And we've got 14 to go, and they're at 20, so we'll see.
So it could be tight. We'll find out if it's going to be an issue if Freilich pits in the next
Whoa!
2 laps. Oh!
Chris Walker's in the wall hard! And that turns everything on its head. That's going to hurt Sefker, who was saving fuel. That's going to hurt, obviously, Walker and take him out of this battle for the win. I want to get a replay up and just see what happens here. I mean, does he just get tight? You know, yeah, he just gets tight. Just trying to stay in the throttle. Does a bit of a wheelie. And, man, that's going to just end his race almost. It's going to take away his chance of getting up there and winning this for sure, I think. And he's pitting.
Yep. Unfortunate, and must be suspension damage there for the number 71 machine. And I think he's going to just retire the car. He says, I'm out over the voice chat. Man, that's unfortunate. Just to see an underdog like Walker. We haven't seen him much here in the IORL series. It might be his debut, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, he was up there in the running, just, you know, didn't go right there.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I was thinking he was going to be able to pull a move out very, very soon, and unfortunately just got tight and just came out on the wrong end of the stick there. As Rambler rounds up in 3rd place now, actually 2nd place at the line there, as he's 1.2 seconds back on our current leader, Rick Ray Vaughn. So as we've seen, Rambler has been pretty good with long run. He's got some clean air now. He might be able to pull something out and be able to track down Rick Ray Vaughn for the race lead.
So Cole Freilich is still on the racetrack. We'll see if he pits this time by. If he pits this time by, it's close for the race leaders. If he keeps going, I think they're good to go. He's giving no indications. Oh, that's down to 30. He's pitting. It's going to be close.
That is a 35-lap run for Cole Freilich right there. We're coming to 10 laps to go, and these guys are on 24 laps of running. We're right on the border.
This is going to be close. This is going to be great. It's going to be 34, 35 laps when they're done with this thing to the end. So I mean, it's going to be tight. That said, that was all green flag, so I think these guys are actually good. These guys, of course, ran those first few laps under caution, so let's keep that in mind as well. They're looking like they're going to make it. If we do get an extension, I'm not, like Trey Patton, I'm not totally clear on the green-white checkered situation. We could have an extension of the race, and that would really shake things up.
I believe the series follows a little bit more traditional open wheel rules there in terms of green-white checkers, as in, I think we only go the race distance, the pre-scheduled distance.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I kind of looked into that. I don't think they do overtime or, whatever is that. But I'm actually looking at the stunts here. The car with the most, actually, well, I'll say that now. Ray Dolly was actually had the most laps on tires. He was at 28 laps, but looks like he just came in and pit. So it looks like our leaders actually have the most laps right now with 26 laps on tires. So considering Cole had 35 and it's only 7 to go, I think they'll be fine.
Ray Vaughn's pitting. Ray Vaughn down the pit lane.
I spoke too soon.
Now the question becomes, are these guys going to take tires, or are they going to go for a splash and go like we see in stock car racing a lot?
I'm amazed that they have to pit. 35 laps for Cole Freilich, that's all green flag. Was it not? Yeah, that was, I mean...
No, there was one yellow flag in there, I believe, actually.
Well, but he pitted a little while ago. I'm so surprised by that.
Yeah. I wonder if Ramler, when he was chilling in the back, if he was, racing up in that higher gear, getting that draft where he was able to save some fuel. I don't know if it's...
Well, we know Sefker was.
Yeah, Sefker was, for sure. But I wonder, even you see Matt Chubb, P2 now. We haven't really been talking a lot of him. Has he been chilling in the back trying to figure out fuel saving to come up at the end and pull one out?
Oh, well, speaking of Matt Chubb, he was sideways out of turn 2, battling Nate Sefker here for that second position. Sefker's going to go by for a second. We'll see when he decides to pit, because I think Sefker's our best gauge of whether or not it's possible to go this extra bit. And thinking back on it, there's no way that Cole Freilich could have run 35 laps right there. Something was messed up, because that would have been more than this run to the end. I started to think back on that. There's no way he could have run 35 laps. We didn't have 35 laps to go. So I'm not sure what the deal was there with Freilich initially. But regardless, these guys are going to be very tight on fuel. And we've been told by somebody who may have been watching, in fact, Scott List Ramler's Twitch stream, that he's the closest on fuel. So he just might be able to squeak this one out, and it would be his third win on the season. But I think Nate Sefker might be in an even better position, though he is now racing Matt Chubb.
Yeah, that's the only thing there, is that if these guys are about equivalent on fuel, it could end up being a race for the lead. And if he wants to reach Ramler on pace, he's going to have to get by him pretty soon. Looking to the inside is Matt Chubb. He's going to look to the inside of Sifker. No one giving an inch, as they shouldn't be this late in the race. We're coming to 3 laps to go here. Ramler holds the lead right now by 2.5 seconds. The question, of course, as we keep talking about, does he have enough to the end?
We'll just have to keep watching, because if he runs out, then we got Sefker and Chubb only 2.5 seconds back. But depending on where Ramler runs out, that might not even matter, because he might be able to coast his way to the victory. Or is a caution going to come out to where it doesn't even matter if he's going to be able to make it on a green flag run?
Well, we're coming to 2 laps to go, this time by the stripe, and Scott List Ramler looking pretty stout right now, looking pretty confident. Of course, at this point, you've made your bet. It's time to lie in it. If you were going to have to pit, you would have done it closer to when Ray Vaughn came in, and he probably came in as soon as he realized he was not good to the end. So if you were going to pit, you would have had to do it by now. Otherwise, you're running to the end. At least you're trying to. So we'll see how it works out for Nate Sefker, Scott List Ramler, Matt Chubb, and the likes thereof. I do want to mention Zach Buchanan, Joey Newsel. They've been battling here for 4th position. Buchanan's up over Newsel for now. Bates behind them. And it looks like, well, Ray Vaughn's going to hang on to a top 10. But the white flag is out here for Scott List Ramler. And we'll see if he has the fuel to make it back around.
So Ramler is going to come through 1 and 2 right now. It sounds like he's still full into the throttle. We head down the back straightaway. We'll get an indication as to whether or not he has fuel down the back straightaway. He's looking good right now. He's stuck in 4th gear down the back straightaway.
Yeah, going into turn 3, a solid 222 miles an hour. He's got about 3.5 seconds. I think he could, coming out of turn 4, 210 miles an hour. He's got enough fuel. Scottless Rambler started from the pole, will win at Michigan.
Nate Sefker is going to take second place in the battle with points leader Matt Chubb. Matt Chubb going to get podium points. That's a big one there for him. Newsel comes home 5th behind Zach Buchanan. Bates is coasting. He runs out of fuel right at the line. Maybe he might have just slowed down, actually, but he's going to take 6th. Marcus Jesdahl will finish in 7th. Bruno Carnero takes home 8th. Ryan Narwaki is going to come across, or Narwaki rather, going to come across in 9th, and Rick Ray Vaughn, the heartbreak of the evening, isn't even going to cross the start-finish line under power. He's going to come, on the racetrack, he's going to come down the pit lane, and he's going to cross and immediately go to his pit stall. Heartbreak for Rick Ray Vaughn. I mean, he did everything right until that last run, just leading, of course, bearing the full brunt of that air resistance will burn fuel much, much quicker. 111 laps led just was not meant to be.
There are a few losses that are going to feel worse than that for Ray Vaughn. Fortunately for him, I think he really likes it here in IORL, and I definitely think he's going to have a run at the championship next year. It was going to be tough to go, for the championship this year, regardless, just because he came in a bit late to the season. He entered tonight 3rd place in points, and that's not going to do him any favors. And I believe we'll have to do some math here, but I believe Matt Chubb might have secured the championship tonight.
We'll do some math. We'll step away for a moment. We'll get our interviews squared away. We are, of course, going to talk to the top 3 finishers tonight. Go ahead and give us just a couple of moments here as Rambler's going to burn it down at Michigan. We'll be right back to you from Michigan with coverage of the Higher Eric Beaudoin 500K. Scottless Rambler's your winner. We'll be right back to you here on PitStop TV. We just got confirmation. We saw the burnouts. Matt Chubb is your Season 11 IORL champion. He continues to do some burnouts. Matt, we've got you here dialed in from the booth. How does it feel to be the champion?
It feels awesome. First full-time year in this league, and just tried to be consistent all year. So, yeah, real pumped. Awesome league. Great time.
Well, consistency is, of course, key, and it's going to work out for you. We were talking about you kind of floating around the points cutoff tonight a lot, right around 10th place and a little ways back of that. And then you just slowly worked your way up. You made it up to 3rd place, finishing 3rd. It's going to wrap things up. You got 60 points on 2nd place, which is now Scott List Rambler. I mean, that's just amazing in and of itself. You came in with a 52-point lead over Madden, I do believe, and he doesn't show up, unfortunately. He's on a cross-country trip. Wish him the best of safe travels, but man, just to have 60 points at any point in such a tough points format, that's got to feel good, especially 2 races to go.
Yeah, I can't talk enough about the competition in this league. Scott, Spencer, Rick. Rick came in and ran a part-time schedule, but was strong in every race he ran. Scott's obviously the favorite in my book no matter what track we go to. So competition's tough. I think I did get a little lucky with some people missing some races, but yeah, consistency is key.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes when it's a points format favoring consistency and just showing up to every race. That's how you do it, and that's how you've done it. We go back to Detroit, the last race we covered with you guys, and we played a recap video at the start of the show just to kind of show how things went. And it was an up and down night for you. You still, I believe, finished pretty well at Detroit. In fact, I'll pull up the results. I believe you did pretty darn well even back in Detroit. So Michigan, just as a state, pretty good for you.
Oh, yeah. Actually used to live in Michigan up in Grand Rapids, so grew up going to this Michigan track every year with my dad, so awesome to bring home the championship here.
And to be exact, you finished 3rd at Belle Isle as well. So 2 third-place finishes here in the state of Michigan. It, excuse me, it ends up handing you this championship. I mean, just a really good season again. Consistency is key. Now, as we go into Laguna Seca and Auto Club, as we make the trek out west, what's your plan for the next couple of races?
Well, my plan for Laguna is to win the race. That's probably my favorite track on here, so I'm going to be pushing hard to get another W in 2020 at that track. And then California is going to be the same as this track. I skipped qualifying today. I usually do that at these big ovals just to kind of see how the race plays out in the beginning. So that'll be my plan at California, but at Laguna I'm definitely going for the win.
Well, Matt, we wish you the best of luck the next couple of weeks. No matter what happens, though, again, you are the champion this season in the IORL, and you do it by finishing third. Just again, consistency is key. Who do you have tonight to thank tonight for your third place finish?
Yeah, I just want to thank God, my family, Lincoln Electric on the car, all the great competitors in this league, and Zach for putting it on, and then thank you to you guys for doing all these broadcasts as well.
Well, Matt, we're so happy to be here, and especially to crown a champion tonight, and over the next couple of weeks, go on your championship tour, I suppose. Are you going to change that number to 1 next season?
I haven't made that decision. I think we might have to, though. I think we're going to have to.
It's tradition, man. You got to do it. But regardless, we'll be talking to you, I'm sure, these next couple of weeks. Seems like the podium is where you like to be.
Yep, thanks for all you guys do. Appreciate it.
So Matt Chubb is crowned your Season 11 champion in the IORL. That said, I'm going to turn it over to Trey Shuttlesworth with it's not Nate Sefker. I learned in the break it's Nate Seifker.
10-4. Nate Seifker. Apparently we were screwing up the pronunciation of your last name, but luckily we have it right now. Do you have a copy, sir?
Yes, I do. It's all good.
All right. I believe this is your first race in IRL, or
My fourth. It's my first broadcast.
That might be why. So you were a dark horse for most of the night. Just to start off, talk us through that last run there, because we knew that a lot of guys were pretty short on fuel. We noted that you were staying in 6th gear for the most part.
Yeah, it was a bit of conserving. I was in map 2 for about the first 5 or 6 laps, and I just let Chris and Rick run in front of me. I knew I was in a bubble that I wanted to be in, and I figured if I could just stay in that bubble, I would have a really good shot at the win. I had floor damage for about half the race, I think. I got caught up in that incident where that guy on lap 33, where somebody ran me over, I think, and so I had to burn my fast car, and I nicked the wall about halfway through the race. So it was a little bit of a struggle tonight to keep up with them, but I was able to keep good pace in it. So I mean, yeah, I knew that Scott had some pace, and then when he flew by me, I knew it was over, and I was hoping he would run out, but I guess he did a better job than I did. And then just staying in that position there till the end of the race was pretty difficult too, keeping Matt behind me as well. But yeah, it was a good race overall. I really like the package whenever we come to Michigan or tracks like it. So it was a really good package. I think the racing overall was pretty good tonight, and I got caught up in more incidents than I wanted to be caught up in, but that's how stuff goes sometimes, though.
No, I think that's just the nature of the beast when you bring Indy cars to a big super speedway like this. Next thing I wanted to hit on, you did say about that damage. I was just wondering how that affected your car, whether it be like, top speed deficiency or like understeer in the corners.
Maybe a mile or two, maybe a mile per hour down. I mean, it wasn't a lot, minimal. I know that Kieran, who got out of the race pretty about halfway, he noticed the damage, and he said it was minimal, but it would affect, and it did affect. I don't think it was a huge factor, but it was a factor. I ran my fastest lap with the damage, so I don't know specifically if it was a huge issue, but yeah, it was still an issue throughout the race though. But yeah, I could tell I was a little bit down on lap time. I wasn't getting the draft that other people were on me, and I did notice it. I don't know how badly it affected me. I'm not going to say that I would have won the race if I didn't have it, but yeah, I could tell there was a difference with the slight damage.
Hey, regardless, the car was good enough to get you to a P2 finish along with your ability, so it worked out pretty well. So I'm sorry, I did realize that you won at Road America in the last round. I just want to point that out to anyone that's tuning in. So just going forward, though, do you have plans to run the next 2 rounds here to conclude the season here?
I do. Currently, I don't have anything lined up. I usually don't run in this league. I have a league that I usually run on Wednesday nights, and they're taking a pretty big sabbatical. So that's why I came here. You guys are a pretty good group of guys, actually, to run with. And it seems like it's a well-run league. Yeah, I have every intention of finishing out the season. Running Laguna Seca and was it Pocono or California? I don't even know.
Fontana.
Fontana. So yeah, I have every intention of running those final 2 races and finishing the season strong. I think I was like in 7th place in the standings after running 3 races. So I'm curious to see where I'm at tonight. See if I can get a top 5 out of it. Who knows?
I think it's still possible with 2 rounds left. I think the most points that you can earn, including like bonus points, is about 28. So it's definitely possible for you.
Well, I can't win the championship. I do know
Nope.
that, but yeah, I think if I can get a late charge and get a top 5 for barely being here, I'll take it.
Yep, it sounds good to me. So just to wrap up here, anyone you want to thank out there, sponsors, friends wise?
I'd like to thank my beautiful girlfriend. The nice thing about this league is that I run a little earlier, so she gets a little bit more time, which she really enjoys. Thank you to her for letting me, for having my Wednesday nights free still, and for giving me snacks during the race. I want to thank my team, No Limit Racing. All the guys on there that were here tonight was Kieran, Chris Walker, and Timothy Bates. They all do a great job with the strategies and getting that down. And then thank Zach and who all the admins are here in this league. They do a great job with running proceedings here. So thank you to them. And then thank you to you guys for broadcasting. I know that it takes time out of your days, and I know I've been in other broadcasts, and I know that it's not fun to sit through other races. But hopefully tonight was a good race to sit and broadcast through.
No, you guys definitely put on a show tonight. Definitely one of the best we saw in the season here for our IORL. So yeah, thanks again for joining us, Nate, and good job with the P2.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right. Yep. That was Nate Seifker. Did I get that right that time?
Seifker.
Seifker. Okay. My apologies. Finishing P2 here at Michigan.
So next we'll of course turn it over to Trey Patton with a race winner. It's going to be Scottless Rambler.
We have the man of the hour here, Scottless Rambler. Started on the pole, fastest in practice. Come back at the end to get it done. So how close were you actually on fuel at the end there?
Well, coming to the line at Checkers, I had 1.1 gallons of fuel, which would have gave me about an extra 2.5, 3 laps.
Oh, so you cut it. You saved a lot more fuel than we thought, because we were trying to base it off of when Cole pit, because we knew he pit a little before you guys did, but then we realized our timing and scoring kind of screwed up on our end to where we thought he ran more laps than he did on our green flag run. But we saw you were up front, mid-pack, in the back, you were just all over the place tonight. And then, just the battle between Rick, and then unfortunately, Rick got caught up in that incident with Tim's. I'm still unsure of what really happened there. So, what was your thought process and when you found out that Rick got taken out in that?
Oh, I didn't just find out, I witnessed it. I saw him pull down the track because I thought somebody was spinning up high. I started to back off and start to follow him down. I just see, I guess it was Tim's, go flying through the air, and Rick just comes to a stop. I was astounded because Rick is probably one of the best people I know at avoiding a wreck, and that time he just drove straight into it, it almost looked like. But I didn't get to see what happened from his point of view yet, because I'm going to go back and look at it. So I would assume he didn't have much time to choose and react to what was going on. But man, I saw him hit that other car. I thought he was done.
Yeah, so we actually went back and looked at it. He had it figured out that he was going to go to the bottom to avoid it. And then the guy just drove down the track, and at that point in time, Rick had nowhere to go. But, obviously it came down to the end of the race. You were fast all race, just battling back and forth with the lead. I figured towards the end there when I saw you were, mid-pack, I saw you were cruising in 6th gear, getting the draft. I figured you were saving fuel. And I figured it would came down to you and Rick at the end, but Rick ended up pitting with a couple laps to go, which just handed you the win. So, I lost my train of thought there.
As far as the strategy and stuff and everything went with that, with Rick being out front, I know he loves to be out front. He loves to battle, go wheel to wheel, and I've told him this before. It's like that is your biggest weakness. It's like in times where you need to back off, draft a little bit, save some fuel, save some tires. He's always out front, pushing it as hard as he can, going as fast as he can possibly make that car go. And I knew that we were going to be incredibly close with 33 laps to go to the end. So I just threw it down in mix 4 and drafted as much as I could, actually tuned the weight jacker to where I actually couldn't get through the corner on the throttle, just to make sure I gave myself that extra incentive to be out of the throttle on corner exit and try to save as much tire as possible in the process. But when it came down to it, I saw that Siefker was basically doing the same thing I was, and I saw I had a fairly decent amount of extra fuel left, so with 10 to go, I just threw it up in mix 1 and blew Siefker's doors off and started chasing Rick down, not knowing if he had saved up enough. But the second he slowed up out of 4, I knew I had it.
Yeah, speaking of changing the weight jackers to adjust throttle control, so we saw that these cars were pushing quite a bit and were just getting loose. So like, can you give us a feel of how it started off, like how the car was starting off and then going on through the race, on how the car handled?
So we were actually changing the weight jacker to try and make the cars as tight as possible, because the snap loose on this old tire model is absolutely horrendous with the IndyCar. Like, you start getting sideways at all, the chances of you saving it are slim to none. So we all tuned with the arm bars to try and give ourselves a little bit more extra grip to the rear end to try and make it more stable. We were changing the weight jacker and throwing it toward the back to try and make sure that we were burning up our front tires a little bit, because we were actually shredding the right rear. And there's really no other way to say it, but after 7 laps in practice on mix 1, running like positive 12 on the weight jacker, which moved everything toward the front and made that right rear spring stiffer, your rear tire would be 15-20% less than your right front, so it would just make it horrendously loose and almost impossible to drive.
Yeah, it looks like we saw a couple people that may not have done that. So now that we kind of get a little info on that, it kind of makes sense on why we saw a couple people spinning out and breaking loose where we wouldn't think that they would.
Yeah, it was especially bad coming through turn 2, because you're almost kind of like, as the track tries to even out, almost going up the hill and dropping back down onto the level area. So when the car would unload itself, the car would just naturally want to track straight to that inside wall. And it got really bad as the runs went on.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I knew early on this race that these cars were going to push, but unfortunately I think we're about running out of time here. You started on the pole, you ended up with the win, you ended up in the right spot. Is there any sponsors you want to thank for the night's win?
I just want to thank everybody involved with IORL. Zach Buchanan, thank you guys at PitStop TV for broadcasting the night's race. Thanks to Rick for sponsoring the race and coming out here and making it a fun night or fun race every time we're out here. Love going wheel to wheel with him. Have a bunch of respect for him as a driver and as a fellow competitor. And want to give a big congratulations to Matt Chubb. Sealed up the championship today, so now have another champion in our midst.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Scott Ramler, our winner tonight at Michigan.
So some really good insight from all these drivers as to what they were all experiencing tonight. And definitely, I think we were on base with some of what we were talking about, a little bit off base with others. So we're going to have to get better about that these next couple of weeks. We're going to Laguna Seca next week. Make sure you tune in as, well, our championship has been decided. Of course, Matt Chubb, as we mentioned, wrapping that one up. Congratulations once again to Matt Chubb, the Lincoln Electric's number 42, wrapping things up on the season. Man, that's just again, just so incredible. Matt Chubb has wrapped it up with 2 races to go. That said, it's the same thing for Rick Ray Vaughn over in the SRCA IndyCar World Series, and you can see Rick Ray Vaughn officially claim the championship tomorrow night in the SRCA IndyCar World Series. We're going to Auto Club Speedway, so we had a preview of what we'll see tomorrow here tonight, and then we'll have a preview tomorrow of what we'll see in a couple of weeks here for the IORL as they wrap their season up at Auto Club as well. So a lot of good IndyCar racing coming at y'all really quickly. We had some great racing tonight. We'll have some great racing tomorrow. We'll have some great racing the next few weeks as things wrap up for these summer editions of the series. We want to, of course, walk down... Well, actually, we're going to pay some bills, and I'll turn it over to Trey Shuttlesworth to kick all that off once more.
He's here, so I'll take the spot on that. So here we have our race sponsor, Hire Eric Beaudoin. Eric Beaudoin is a NASCAR championship winning spotter and mechanic in Canada and the United States. Eric has also worked with Trans Am, Porsche GT3, Formula 1600, and late model teams throughout the continent. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Eric is looking for new opportunities in the sport for the future. You can reach Eric through his Instagram at Eric Beaudoin. That is ERICBEAUDOIN.
And the USRA is also sponsoring. In fact, they are presenting this event tonight. And in fact, if I can get to the right logo, we're going a little bit out of order here because the USRA is actually presenting the race sponsored by Eric Beaudoin. So it's the Eric Beaudoin 500K that Scottless Rambler just won tonight here at Michigan. But it's presented by the United Sim Racers Association, which was created with the intent to bring the racing back to the drivers. Their Grand Am series kicking off shortly showcases Daytona prototypes, GT4s, and TCRs with fixed setups with the intent to have the driver win the race, not the setup. The season kicks off in September with 2.4 hours of Daytona, and you can learn more about the USRA by going to UnitedSimRacersAssociation.com. Again, that is UnitedSimRacersAssociation.com. Also want to thank, of course, Rick Ray Vaughn Racing. Doesn't quite get the job done tonight, but he was just so good. Led 111 laps. He's always great in these open wheel cars, especially the Dallara IR18. Rick Ray Vaughn Racing is a Facebook page solely dedicated to the racing adventures of Rick Ray Vaughn, which is run by his daughter Mila. It features race broadcasts, highlights, and Rick's thoughts, views, personal quotes, and it is fun for the whole family. It is also the new home of the infamous Ray Vaughn Report that everyone loves. And I'll turn it back over to Trey Patton.
We want to thank our PitStop TV sponsors. We have Permanent Makeup in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Here at Permanent Makeup in Cairo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Beaulieu, I'm sorry if I messed that up, is certified in is certified in micropigmentation, who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. If you're looking for the best solutions for your PMU concerns, give her a call and book a consultation. You can also contact them at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or give them a call or text at 207-358-8683. That number is 207-358-8683. If you visit their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup in Cairo in Maine, you will see that they do monthly giveaways. If you submit your entry, who knows? You might just win something.
So again, that Facebook page is Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine. Should definitely check them out. We can't thank them enough for coming on and supporting PitStop TV and even our racing endeavors with Whiplash Racing. Of course, related to PitStop TV, if you will, Whiplash Media. In fact, this is a great segue into Whiplash Media. Whiplash Media, our parent organization, also operates Whiplash Racing, a sim racing team that you can sponsor if you'd like, and you can sponsor us as well. In fact, especially Permanent Makeup in Maine and Whiplash Media are here because they support PitStop TV, and Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine, in fact, does help us out in that way. So you can become a sponsor of PitStop TV. You can email me directly at andrew@pitstoptv.com. But to talk about Whiplash Media a little bit, our new parent organization, Whiplash Media, specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, such as photography, social media management, and public relations. You can currently find more information about Whiplash Media on Facebook and at whiplash-media.com. Again, that is whiplash-media.com. Now that we've got the bills paid, the lights will stay on, and we'll be able to keep broadcasting some races this week. I want to roll down the race results. Of course, Scott List Rambler winning the higher Eric Beaudoin 500K presented by USRA at Michigan International Speedway. Nate Siefker, second place. We said Siefker all night long. Nate Siefker, second place in the number 2. Matt Chubb wraps up the championship from third place. So storylines all throughout. Zach Buchanan and his Rick Mears Throwback comes home 4th. Then it's Joey Newsel, Timothy Bates, Marcus Jesdahl, Bruno Carnero, Ryan Naraki, and Rick Ray Vaughn, heartbreak of the evening, comes home 47 seconds behind race leader, race winner, Scott List Rambler.
Yeah, rounding out the top 20, we have Cole Freilich, Warren Keith, Ray Dowley, Chris Walker, Corey Rexford, Grant Timms after that incident that took Rick Ray Vaughn out of the lead, Stephen Ellis, Noah Carmichael, Blake Erickson, and Franklin Ash rounding out the top 20.
The back end of the field will feature the likes of Timmy Trowbridge, Kieran Bergelli, and Matt Walters. I don't think we said Matt Walters' name all night long aside from the grid, but we talked about Trowbridge and Bergelli plenty. Unfortunately, they don't quite make it to the end and not in the positions they should have been, but still a nice run for Trowbridge. Trowbridge for sure, as he was looking really good there towards the latter stages. Bergelli too was looking really quick there for a while, and unfortunately neither of them coming home where they deserve. That said, that is going to do it here from Michigan International Speedway. That'll conclude our coverage tonight of the IORL Higher Eric Beaudoin Michigan 500K, presented by the United Sim Racing Association. We at PitStop TV thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Join us tomorrow as the SRCA IndyCar World Series concludes its season at the Auto Club Speedway, and we'll have a Friday night doubleheader, 2 races going at once for the first time on PitStop TV, as the LTAC Racing League hits the high banks of Bristol and the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Tour races at South Boston Speedway. So LTAC's second race on our channel, and the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Tour, that is a tongue twister for sure, will kick off their summer tour at South Boston. Make sure to follow us on PitStop TV's various social media platforms, rather. You can follow us at facebook.com/PitStopTV, on Twitter at PitStopTV_. You can go over to Twitch and watch our broadcast live on Twitch, or even the VOD thereafter at www.twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV. And of course, you're probably watching on YouTube, but if you aren't watching on YouTube, you can head over to YouTube, subscribe to us there by searching PitStop TV. So again, make sure to follow us on all of those mediums. This has been Trey Shuttlesworth and Trey Patton with me on the call. I am Andrew Cardinale IV for PitStop TV, and we will see you next time.